Lisa Saygun, welcome to Muscle Talks podcast. How are you?
I am good, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm really honoured.
Oh, I'm honoured too. And obviously, we're talking a little bit about your podcast, which we will get to. How about we save that for a conversation a little bit later? But before I tell people what you're accredited for, if you had to tell me the one thing about the industry that nobody wants to say out loud, what is it?
Oh,
yeah, I know. Here we go.
Do we have to start with this? Okay.
Remember, what is it that nobody wants to say out loud? Get ready.
It's political.
It's political.
It's political. Absolutely, it is.
And everyone knows it. Everyone knows it.
Yep. I've been on both sides. I've been on the table and I've seen what goes on the table, and I'm just going to say it out loud. And I've been the athlete as well. So I've seen that. I've been privy to conversations with different federations as well, that are very close to the top, and I see what goes down. So yes, we can go down that rabbit hole if you like, it's got me into it. I'll say that I'm quite outspoken, and I haven't been quiet about it before, but it's turned a few people's noses out of joint. And I'm not here to keep people's nose in joint either. I'm here just to tell the truth. And when there are things that are immoral, and people aren't being credited on merit, then I'll have an issue with that, especially when I'm representing certain organizations, shall we say, because it's my name too.
Yeah, I think that what I've seen in the last 3 years of doing this podcast, and look, I've never competed, not that I've never wanted to compete, and I can tell you I love bodybuilding more than any person on stage, and I live my.
That's a big comment to make.
It is. No, it is. I'll tell you why. Because I'm 57 and I started at 18 and I'm still going. And the thing is, I'll give you an example. I'm down to 80 kilos at the moment at 5'10", and I'm decided that I'm bringing a stage body on in my own life. I don't need to put a stage body together. So what I'm trying to say to you is there'll be a point that I'm primed for stage, and that's just me prepping myself for a certain date. After that, then I'll do post-comp myself. So in other words, and I tell people this as well, which just came, you don't know what you look like until you do a shred. You can bulk as much as you like. That tells you nothing. But once you fight for shred, you're going to see and possibly be impressed with what you really have. But until then, you've seen nothing. So if the stage is the only place you need to see it, you're kidding yourself, because you can do it off the stage. So for me, like I said, I've introduced pumpkin, I've introduced green beans, I've got lean, chicken. What I'm trying to say to you is we've taken out rice, we're lowering the calories, we're keeping the protein where it is. So, like I said, do I have to be on stage to do that? That's what I'm saying.
Well, bodybuilding is a lifestyle.
It is, yeah.
As well. It's really interesting. I think Australia is one of the only countries that basically sees bodybuilding as getting in your budgie smugglers and getting up on stage all tanned up and oiled, looking like a bronze statue, right? So whereas you go to the US, and this was like a real eye-opener for me, because I've been over there a few times competing, watching shows, the Arnolds and Vegas, and everyone's a bodybuilder. What do you do? What's your hobby? I do bodybuilding, bit of hockey on the side, and I'm like, so for them it's going into the gym and pumping iron, literally, and so, and that's not just in the US, that's in Europe as well, as the UK as well. Whereas here, it's almost like we're quite sheltered. It's a very little kind of small encapsulated, sport. There's part of it that, where I like to call it a sport, but the other part of me is like, well, no, it's just a way of living, isn't it? It's it's how you show up.
Yeah, and I think what I've seen as well, and everyone, every single federation, which is understandable, they believe their federation's it. I get it. But to me, when you talk about political, I can see it. I already know if I was going to go in this federation, just go with this coach and I'll start winning. If I go with this coach, I'll start winning. I just got to be with this coach. And the thing is, and I think the other thing is at the moment, the way they give pro cards, they're locking people in for nothing. They're not. It's not about that. There's nothing here for pros. We don't have pro competitions in Australia. If you had pro competitions, so in other words, you've just made it an expensive ticket to compete. So it's an expensive ticket to compete. And thirdly, it's turned into a beauty pageant. It's no more bodybuilding. And that's including guys. It's a beauty pageant. I agree.
And you're 100% right. And that's across, all federations, not just one or two federations. Yeah. And here's the other thing. I was having a conversation online with Mike Debenham. You'll know Mike Debenham.
No, Mike Debenham's amazing. I've
had him on. Yeah, he was my ex-coach as well when I was going to get ready to go do the Masters Olympia and never at some point. And then I just said, I'm done. I'm KO'd. So he trains at the gym that I go to. And one of the things we were looking at, because if you've seen my profile, I'm quite vocal about, these young boys, especially now, because, I've got a 10-year-old son and he, loves being in the gym and he gets all excited about it. And you got these young kids, they're carking it. They're dead at 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 years old. And for them to have started, to get to these monster sizes, they would have had to start in their teens, and some have been very open about it because they've been following that journey. And it's like this is why I said to Mike, it's like, they're trying to rush this process. And one thing that Mike said, which is really like stood out to me, is like, they're not building a legacy anymore. Like, there's no legacy there. It's like, who are you? What's your name? And so they're rushing this process. They're not building a legacy. They're not really enjoying the journey. And I don't know if you've had the opportunity to sit and watch these young kids, online, because I'm curious. I go on there and I watch the stories, and there is so much mental illness and delusion, and you can see that there is trauma attached, which the PEDs and everything else that's attached with it kind of comes out and masks it. So you've got I won't say all, but you've got a lot of, these dysfunctions and people supporting that space and encouraging it. And that's, why I feel personally that the golden era, the age of like taking your time, building your legacy, finessing it, flow, you're not just putting on as much size you want, like creating all that, that's gone. I think Instagram has a lot to do with it and all the other social platforms, but just this abuse of PEDs and turning things into more of a beauty pageant and flapping your fucking hands around like it's Hey
guys, Steve here. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. You know the drill. We'd love you to subscribe. We'd love you to hit the notification bell. Why? It gets us out there, allows us to go and get bigger, better, greater. We've already had some great guests, as you know, but we want to continue this. We want to continue this journey with you. So if you could, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're notified each time we put up a new podcast. Thank you for allowing me to take you away from the podcast. Let's get back to it. Well, the thing is, it's, I was talking to my girlfriend last night because I was on a walk, right? I'm going to have this guy on soon. His name's AJ and he's a sex coach, right? I think every girl follows this guy. Don't ask me why. But anyway, I happened to be walking and I saw him and he saw me and he goes, "Hey, Steve." Okay. "Hey, AJ." And my girlfriend goes, "Do you know AJ?" I said, "What's okay? Yeah, I know AJ. What's the big deal?" She goes, "Oh my God." Like she was talking like all the girls follow him, right? And I go, yeah, I know about him. I know he had a sex shop too. Yeah, I get it. But the thing is, then I realized this. Do you know influencers are fleeting? And I'll tell you what fleeting means. You know what fleeting means. I'm not doing an education on fleeting.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Let's go with Ronnie Coleman. So let's put Ronnie Coleman, and then let's put next to Ronnie Coleman, Tom Cruise. Who's the biggest star? Tom Cruise. No, he is. Why? Because Tom Cruise has built a legacy of acting and being on doing stuff, right? Let's put C-Bum. My daughter, because whoever doesn't do bodybuilding doesn't know these people. So what I'm saying is you'll never beat a rock star. You'll never beat a movie star because they have talent. They have a skill, and their skill pays them a wage to do something that we get to be entertained by. So you can be a motherfucking influencer that sells, excuse me, dildos, whatever. Doesn't mean jack shit. Sorry, AJ, but he's popular. And he sells a good wet pad, whatever it's called. I don't know, all these things going on. But sorry, I'm being rude. I should Chris, we're going to edit that out. No, we're not. But
you got me blushing now.
No, I know. But like I said to you, it's not that. We were talking about, my girlfriend was laughing too. We were laughing about it. We're just kind of, what I'm saying is that, and I apologize because you're a female, and I'm sorry about talking like that. I just want to say that in case anyone's listening. But what I want to say it wasn't about that. What I'm trying to say to you is, because she goes, oh, he's very popular. I said, to who though? And what makes him popular? And even myself in this game, Russell Crowe, all these amazing actors that have and rock stars and John Farnham and all these people, they deserve what the accolades they get and what they've achieved by entertaining us in our car and having songs that we can reflect on. You can't beat stardom. This influencer thing is that's what I mean, fleeting. Tell me the influencer you knew 5 years ago. Is he around? Nope. Tell me the influence. That's what I'm saying to you. They're just fleeting, fighting for it.
It's in and out. It has an expiry date.
And once Instagram shuts your account down, you ain't anything. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah.
So before we get into the next bit about people dying, your pin post says, being hated by idiots is the price you pay for not being one of them. So the price of authenticity is when you choose to live with integrity and think for yourself. You won't always be popular. Not everyone has the capacity to understand your path, and that is okay. Never lower your standards or dull your light just to fit in with the crowd. Wear the disapproval as a badge of honor. Your post, maybe your words, I don't know.
Yeah. I've always been the black sheep, growing up. I was always the unpopular girl. I don't know. You remember Wog Boy, the movie Wog Boy, right? Nick Giannopoulos. I was the female version of Nick Giannopoulos in an Anglo-Saxon white school. And I had these big bushy one eyebrow and a haircut that was done from home, and my nonna would make me my pasta daughter and mozzarella and salami.
What's your background?
Italian Turkish.
Okay, go on.
So, but I grew up on my Italian side.
I'm surrounded by you because I'm Greek, so I'm surrounded.
Awesome. So she would make me my Italian lunch, and I'd get the thermos, and she'd wrap it up in a tea towel, old school style. And I used to get picked on, and I'd have a container of olives, all these antipastos, which you pay so much money for these days, in entrees in restaurants. I know. And so I would get picked on. I couldn't speak English until I was 5 years old.
All of us.
And had to repeat grade prep.
Because
so that was tough.
A lot of racism back then too.
Oh, look, we could talk about that now, but anyways, there was, I think,
it was.
It was a lot different, but we can get into the cultural debate about that soon. So I was picked on right from the get-go, right from the age of 5, and always had to fight to find a place I could call home. And I was always looking, outside of my situation. There were quite some significant traumatic events in my life that formed this opinion. And I'm sure we can get into that later on, but, from, growing up, not being able to speak English to then going to a school and getting constantly picked on.
Seeing that everything will be later on, how about we bring something now? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so I would have my head thrown down the toilet at school. I'd have dead rats in my lunchbox.
Wow, where did you grow? Where did you grow up? Where did you grow up?
Geelong.
Oh God,
Victoria.
Victoria hasn't changed, by the way. It hasn't changed much.
No, it's even worse now.
Yeah.
So it was tough. I grew up with my nonna. My mum had a lot of mental health issues. I was abused a lot as a kid as well. So that and my father fled well and truly before I was born. Came back, tried to come into my life, and then my mum manipulated me and got rid of him. Basically, I told him to F off. Not that was necessarily a bad thing. He was quite abusive as well. So then I grew up with my nonna. And when my nonna passed away when I was 16 years old, and I remember my uncle saying to me, goes, when your nonna dies, you got no one. Because I was a product of my mother, and my mother was ostracized from the family as well. So I was homeless for a couple of years on the streets.
Really?
Yeah. So I'd be bunking up with friends and not letting them know that I wasn't going home because my mum didn't want me there anyway. Yeah, I'd be, they'd be drinking, smoking, taking drugs, to kind of get through those things. My nonna promised me before she passed she goes, Lisa, I'll say this in Italian, ada comando, do you finish your school? Which means I'm warning you, make sure you finish school. So I would, shower down at Eastern Beach at the local cubicles and wash my clothes down there and have to change of clothes and then jump into school. And then my year level coordinator in year 11, she noticed something wasn't right. And she pulled me in and I denied everything. Anyway, I got caught out. Long story short, the Barwon Youth Accommodation Services kind of got involved in the school. And in my last year, they set me up in my own unit on Oz Study, which back then I think was about $560 a fortnight. And the accommodation was $30 a week back then. So it was like so cheap.
Right. Yeah, you're doing well.
So, pretty much, from 17 and a half to kind of 18 and a half, I had my own place just to finish my BCE or Victorian Education Certificate to get that just scraped through. I think my enter score was like 38 and to pass you had to get 31%.
Right.
Just got through. Yeah. So there were those challenges as well. And then obviously, then trying to find work, I'm like, what do I want to do? I had a boyfriend at the time and, I was a little bit on the chubby side, let's just say. Just a little bit on the chubby side. And
you can't be a wog without being chubby.
No, I hadn't even seen a gym, at that point. But he got me a gym membership at Mill Lane Waterworld, which is like the Bronx of Geelong.
Yeah.
And that's where my passion started from there. I was like, oh my God, this is saving me, So then things started to turn around and, went off and did my, it was the equivalent of a Cert 3 and Cert 4 because I wasn't smart enough yet to get into uni. Right. So I had to do some of that and get some experience. And then I got in and started my university a couple of years later after that.
What did you study?
Well, I studied a few things. So there was my human movement at Ballarat Uni.
Yep.
And then I did my dietetics at Monash.
Yep.
University and health science at the Southern School of Natural Medicine.
Wow. All of a sudden you became... Sorry, what was that noise? That was me. Oh, sorry, I was going to say, I thought it was... Sorry about that. Chris was mucking around. So things changed. You started to find direction and also, I don't know, your mind started to open up and you wanted to learn.
Well, yeah, I knew that I needed to. Well, actually, if I take it back a step, I went to the Geelong Regional Library back in those days when they had CDs and cassettes still,
Yep.
and I found the Anthony Robbins series.
Right. Go on.
And so I'm listening to like The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. I'm like getting right into it with Anthony Robbins as well, and he's this real yahoo man. Like
Still is.
he can just shake you and move you, and obviously, and he just keeps evolving, and he's amazing, and he's had quite a significant hard upbringing, and I just really gelled with his story. So I'd be doing my walks while I'm at Norlane Waterworld on a treadmill and lifting my weights with my Walkman that you couldn't or I should say Discman, because you can't fit that down your sports bra like your phone these days.
Yes.
And I'd have an extra pair of batteries. That's how you charged them up.
Yes.
And I would listen to that. And so that's what kind of started opening up my mind and going, well, I need to break this chain. I need to break this generational programming, because it was something that was in my lineage that, happened, to my mum, my grandma, my grandfather, and so forth and so on. And so, yeah. That was the start. I wasn't free from, I'll tell you, being at university, I wasn't free from being, ostracized there, because I wasn't your typical university student back in those days. Like I was someone that kind of got through on merit of, being a mature age student. I was only 19. It was like, but it was like I didn't go in at that time, like, right. And, still at that point there, it was, I didn't fit in. Right. I didn't know why I didn't fit in. I think maybe it was because I was so outspoken, and I think maybe, my Nonna's legacy, right? Because she had so much strength and power and love, and she was bold and she was courageous. That, was a real foundation in my life. So, I remember her saying to me, no matter what, you be bold. You be courageous. You go out there and you stand and you hold your space. And I always remember those words. She used to tell it to me, like, ever since I was a little kid. Don't cower down. And so that's kind of held me. That value has held me. That legacy, if you want to call it, from my Nonna has held me and carried me through many difficult times in different places. And we talked about and opened up with politics, didn't we? And but politics is everywhere. Like, it's not just in bodybuilding, it's in the line of work you go to, it's in the friendship group that you have, it's in your family, it's in other sports as well. It's everywhere you go. And I think, you've got to get to a point where you're like, well, what am I going to do with the political bullshit that's going on at the moment? What am I going to do about it? Am I going to sit here with my, tail between my legs and shut the fuck up and say nothing? Or am I actually going to say something? Right? And try and make a difference. And I chose that road, and I knew choosing that road, being bold and courageous and outspoken, meant that, the universe, the law of attraction, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It was gonna come at me. So, that was in my earlier years up until about probably 25. That was that learning phase. Yeah.
I think that, I think, I've come to understand, and what I've come to realize of late, that the world is not fair, right? And once you accept that, that's the playing field, and then you realize that energy doesn't know how to differentiate certain things. And I'll explain to you this.
Yeah.
I'm going to use me and Chris as an example, and I'll make Chris the good guy for once, even though he's Macedonian. I'll make him the good guy.
We won't hold it against you. That's okay.
We won't hold it against you, right? Though he's very mentally unstable at the moment, we won't hold it against him. But having said this, and that I carry the podcast alone on my own shoulders, but that's another story. Only Jackie. So I steal. No, I still steal. I steal $1 million and I feel good about it, right? And Chris wins $1 million and he feels good about it. The universe just knows that these two motherfuckers feel good. And that's what I'm saying. It's not fair. So when we think, why did he get it and he didn't get it, is because he feels good or she feels good. So once you realize, don't worry about how they feel. Don't worry about what they're doing. Don't worry, it's not fair. Just fucking get in the fight. Just be in the game and don't sit there and believe that your petty story or your getting up in the morning and punching your chest is going to get you somewhere, because your emotions are being exposed. So you just got to act like a savage motherfucker and just go for it and be yourself. So whether people like you or not, whether you got up and you did burpees or you got up and had a black coffee in your leopard robe, and that's me, it doesn't matter as long as you.
I want to see that.
I do have.
I want to see you in your leopard robe.
You probably see it. You'll probably see it. You'll probably see it on the documentary we're doing. Yes, but I've got a leopard robe.
Oh, I was going to say, because like if you just do a post of you, like Wacky Wednesday, you with your coffee, with your leopard print, I reckon it'd be great.
I think I was going to put one up on stories and say, this was me, meal one, and I went, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't do it. I think I was saving it. I think I was saving it because we're doing a few things behind the scenes, and I thought, we'll just say the leopard robe. And I've got a leopard robe because my daughter got one and she got me one, so we kind of like twins with leopard robes, So it's. And the funniest thing is, I was putting the rubbish out one day at the front, and I forgot. I didn't forget I was wearing a robe. I knew I was wearing a robe, but when I came outside, I wasn't like, my hair would look like I was a scarecrow. And I've come out with a leopard robe, and a lady was walking past with her husband, my neighbour. She just, woohoo, look at you. And I went, oh, yeah, look at me. So we had a laugh. So I guess, I think, I think as well this world is inviting. I think it wants us to be authentic. I really believe it does. I think this world, we've lost, when you talk about politics, when you talk about people, this world has become one big fucking anxiety, and we're under attack. We are literally under attack. And I
call it a spiritual war.
A spiritual war, 100%.
It's a spiritual war.
It's a spiritual war. And the thing is, I never ask a woman, regardless what your age is, I used to believe.
45,
what's that? What are you?
I'm 45.
Oh, you look amazing. So there was a time when you'd watch the news and Brian told me so. And I believed Brian was telling me the truth. What? Now I look at the anchor man and I said, you're just fucking reading a script. You don't even, you're just paid to sit there and read the editorial print that was approved by somebody else, and you're not reporting anymore. So we've just got these clowns. I know, fuck it, we've really tangent out. We've got these clowns and they're not telling us the truth. They're fudging the figures. So we don't know anything anymore. The only thing we know is the scales we stand on when I'm 80 kilos and I'm 85 kilos. That tells me the truth. But at the end of the day, anything they write for us, anything they read to us, even the fucking calories, they're fudged because there's a variance. There's like a variance of 20% here or there. Yes?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying
absolutely.
what I'm saying to you is, I don't know what I'm saying to you, but now I'm trying to think what I'm saying to you. What am I trying to say?
You've lost the plot, but it was.
I haven't lost the plot.
It was like you opened up a few loops there. I think it was coming back to like being bold and being outspoken.
That's right. I'm saying you have to be.
And energy. And energy is where you need to be. And I'm 100% aligned with where you're at and what you're talking about here, because at the end of the day, you can still be bold and outspoken, but it's the intention that's behind it as
100%.
Well, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going in there to really like put someone down, like let's say, we can kind of like talk briefly about, the young boy that passed away, that I am Gabriel, that I put up on my post.
Yes, let's talk about that.
I saw him and I saw my son. I'm like, that could have been my son, And
another one's passed away recently. And another one passed away a couple of days ago.
Just recently on the weekend, 22 years old.
22, yeah.
Right? And then there was another one that I put up, and I looked at him and I'm like, oh, he's not going to make it to 25 if he keeps going like this. And so the posts that I put out there, like, were really split. I didn't even, like, I was happy if I got to like 1,000 views, right? Like,
I think that's where
1.8 million. Did you see that?
1.8?
Like 1.8 million views. Like, there was hundreds and thousands of comments. I was like, this is okay. All right. Okay. Like, so this is a real split. I would say it was like 70% of people were like, oh, it was drugs, and you did this. And then the other 30% were like, oh, you're bullying, you're mean, how dare you? And, and then it got to the point where it was like a week in and I was like, oh, it's going to die down. No, keep going.
They take over.
It was now people within the group.
Yeah.
Like, I just stood back now and they're just going for it. But
so tell us about the post. Tell us about the post, because people are going to wonder. So tell us, because this is where I think I noticed you as well, and I probably reached out because I knew you had.
Yeah,
you were talking about something that I felt that. Yeah, I wanted the podcast to talk about. So what was the post again? So let's talk about that.
Look, there's no lying. We've seen the evolution of bodybuilding. We see where it's going. We look at the bodies that are on stage anymore. I'm not inspired by them, to be honest. There was one lady that I saw and I'm like, she's fucking amazing. And I put her up there as well. But, like, I got into this sports in that golden era, where you've got your Arnies, your Frankie Zanes, these beautiful, classic, amazing, incredible shaped bodies, and you watch their journeys and you'd wait to get your book, your magazine, and you cut them out and like you put it up on your wall. And so that's the era that I grew up. So call me old school. I'm old school. And I'd say probably in the last 5 years, more so since COVID. We'll get into that later on. Yeah. So if we talk about deaths, I went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, right, okay, how many bodybuilders have died since, let's say, 1978, right, to 2019, right? That was not of like a natural cause or anything like that. That was like, something that was quite popular, because the ones that aren't, you're not going to find documentation on that anywhere. So I counted 58. 58. Now, from 2021, when they rolled out the COVID vaccines, and we're going to go down that rabbit hole. Sorry to say, but we are. I'm getting to the point about this post. Because there was a lot of comments about, was it the COVID vaccine? It has tenfolded. So I'm up to over, in the last 4 years that I've counted, of pro bodybuilders, right? And I'm talking pro league, pro bodybuilders, right? Yep. We're talking over 480 at the moment.
Wow.
Deaths in 4 years of pro league, IFBB bodybuilders.
We're not even talking.
Right?
We're not even talking about amateurs. And even we're not even talking amateurs and people that haven't trained, haven't competed.
No,
haven't competed.
Correct. These are professionals. Like in any era, if we just look at the ones that made it to the Olympia, the Sean Rogans, all the ones that we know that have carked it, right? Yeah. Just suddenly, pushing daisies. There's been more in the last 4 years than what there has in the last 50 years of bodybuilding. And yeah, sure, we've got social media and, news gets around a lot faster and different and all that sort of stuff now. But the fact of the matter is there's been one common denominator. Well, I'd say two, but one main common denominator. And that is that in order for these bodybuilders to compete, right, they needed to be vaxxed. That's the first thing, right? The second thing is the increase of PEDs as well, and then not knowing what's inside them, right? So essentially,
black
we're
market
gambling.
Stuff,
Black market stuff. We don't know what's inside them, and it's getting worse and worse and worse because the more hands it changes, the worse it actually gets, right? And I've been down that road. I've been down the dark side. I've taken PEDs, right? And I did, and we can go into that story later on. And I personally noticed a difference as well in the quality of PEDs.
So we don't go down. We won't go down later. Tell us about that now. So we keep it going.
Oh, you want to?
I think because they'll, while listening to this, they're going to say, then what is your experience? What do you know? Or they might say, well, looking at your posts, looking at you compete, you must have done it. So you might as well talk about why you took stuff, but taking it, what you've learned and experienced, and watching where you are today with this unfold.
Absolutely. Look, up until 2019, I was a natural athlete. Okay. I retired in 2024. I did a couple of pro shows with my bestie overseas, and then we called it quits after that. So I previously had been with NABA, WFF, that federation, and I was on I was coming back into bodybuilding after 5 years of not competing, and the main motivation was to kind of keep me going while my son was in hospital having open heart surgery.
That's another story. About that,
I hired a very popular coach. I understood the strategy, and I said I want to compete at the Arnold's. I want to compete at the Arnold Classics. And so I was going into the 2019. I'd done the year before, but I'd done that with a different coach, and I was 100% natty. And then I was like a pipsqueak next to all these other athletes at the time. And if we look back at those athletes now on stage, we're like, oh, they're tiny, they're bikini, right? So evolution, and I do think the IFBB is the largest evolving federation in terms of what's being produced and shown on stage every single year. And so I hired this coach, and he's like, well, if you want to make it and you want to do good, you're gonna have to get on it. Now, even me, with all my trainings that I've had, with all what I do know, my ego got in the way.
Of course.
I was like immersed into the bodybuilding world, and when you're in it, right, doesn't matter what anyone's saying out here, you don't give two flying fucks, right? You're like, yeah, whatever, I'm cool, I'm invincible, I'm unbreakable, that's the mentality that you have. And it doesn't matter how smart you are, what your IQ is, and how much you know, right? And I've seen, top paying lawyers and judges and people in the defense forces and police officers all get involved in that. And like, if they were ever caught, I've seen people that work for APRA, like on it, competing in the sport. So it's this
disgusting,
almost like this cult, like, if you're in, you have to agree, and we're one big kind of like happy family, right? You got to do it our way.
It's like the mob.
Correct, like the mob. Well, yes, like the mob. So I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, it's all right. I've got a great guy that I get it off, and we're talking VAR, Proviron, Danazol, Clenbuterol, Arimidex, all of those compounds. I was on at once.
Wow.
Competing to get into the Arnold's. And I did well that year. I got second.
Of course.
I got fourth in the Open. And that was in March of 2019. 6 weeks later, I had a gallbladder attack, passed out, vomited everywhere. Thought I was going to die. My phone went flat, and I had emergency surgery to remove my gallbladder.
Wow.
They found 3 50-cent piece-sized gallstones stuck in my duct, and they go, do you have gallbladder disease that runs in your family? And I'm like, no. And they go, we've never seen this. Like, this is not on your age. We would see this in someone that is 60 plus years old that's got gallbladder disease. And I'm like, I took steroids.
What'd they say when you told them that?
And they're like, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Now, little do I know, and we'll get into the whole genetics, DNA things, like, because I'm studying my master's in diagnostic genomics at the moment, which is like, that there are certain mutations that I have in the gallbladder and the liver and the kidneys that are a presupposition for gallbladder disease. And now that I know that, and fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease that I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? And you just fucking you're popping shit like lollies, right? And that's what. And then the hardest thing was then I was on that train. I was like, I want to do better. And then COVID kicked in. So it was, I think, the end of 2019. So at the start of 2019, when did COVID happen? It was March of 2019, I think. It was kind of just after that.
Let's call it 2020 anyway, but 2019.
Yeah, it was anyway. It was around that time. Anyway, so I recovered over that, and then my body went straight into menopause after that, didn't it?
Wow.
Because little did I know the amount that bile itself is a binding agent to estrogen receptors, progesterone receptors. It cleanses the blood. It has over 80 functions in the body. Okay. And it's not just to break down the food that you've got and the metabolites, but it forms and it binds to, compounds and nutrients like phosphatidylcholine, which is like the flour that makes the enzymes in your liver. You need bile for that. Well, all of a sudden I've got nowhere to store it. Right. All of a sudden, I'm in menopause as a result of that. My body, I was like, I don't know this body. What's happening? What's going on? Tried HRT. My body didn't like that at all. Wow. And the only time, and this is the mentality I had at the time, Stephen, it was like the only thing I know that made me feel half decent was getting back on it. So here I am now. 2020, I think it was like 2020, and COVID was like in Melbourne, everything was shut down. I was losing my fucking marbles, and the only thing that I knew how to do was train, but the fucking gyms were closed, weren't they? Right? Yeah. So I've got a kid in hospital. I've got no gym to go to. I still had a surplus of gear that was sitting at home. Yeah. I wasn't getting any more because nothing was getting shipped in, right? Yeah. And so my mental health went for an absolute dive. Oh, and to throw it in there, I separated from my husband at the time as well. So it was all going on. Okay? Yeah. It was all going on. And so I went to Deramit's, who was having a sale on their gym equipment. Yeah. Loaded up my garage. I've got a garage now full of gym equipment, which is awesome. That got me through, right? And I started on the PEDs again while I was, training in the gym. And can I say that looking back at it now, like I can go back then and have a look at that and look at how it exasperated my mental illness and delusion as well. Yeah. Like, I was looking at myself, I'm not big enough or I'm not lean enough, yet alone I had changes that were happening to my body, that shouldn't be happening for a woman. Voice was changing, hair growth, virilization, things like that were happening. And I was trying to normalize them. Okay. And then I would have conversations with other peers in the bodybuilding world and other girls. And they're like, look, it's normal. When you stop, it all goes back to normal. Everything's fine. I'm like, like, but then I didn't know. I mean, I knew, but I didn't know, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like my cognitive self and the part that was compartmentalized into, a space of like logic was shut down. My logic wasn't running. It was, this survival mode, obviously with a lot of trauma that I was experiencing, some being in hospital, separation from my ex-husband, COVID, and just really feeling isolated and alone and not knowing when I was going to compete again, right? Because So then I had no intent of wanting to go and get my pro card. Could give two flying fucks. Yeah. Honestly, for me, competing was something that was very personal for me, you know, and getting on stage was a way that I could kind of get through some shit that was going on in my life, especially with my son, right? It kept me, you know, that was the one thing that kind of kept me going, gave me structure. And so anyway, then the first IFBB competition was announced in 2022, in March of 2022.
I remember that.
Remember that? Yeah.
It was big.
So
it was big. It
was massive.
It was not only massive, there was an element of excitement, but a bit of it was excitement, but there was a little bit of, I don't know, there was an unknown about it. Something had changed, not for the worst. It was more like, we're back and things have changed. It was something like that. We're back. It's good, but things have changed. Something changed.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Nutrition Warehouse, your number one store for all your supplement needs. Visit in-store here in Australia or New Zealand, or go to nutritionwarehouse.com.au, or for our New Zealanders, go to nutritionwarehouse.co.nz, shop away, and at checkout, why not use discount code MTP15 to get 15% off all your orders.
Right? So I was working towards that competition in season A. I was like, I'm getting on stage. Anyway, so at this point, I hadn't been on anything for a good 12 weeks.
Yep.
Everything had run out, right?
Yep.
Didn't have anything. And I was working with someone on the other side of the country at the time, and I was in pretty good nick myself. I was probably 13% body fat, plenty of time to kind of like get that little bit off and you get down 6%, right?
Yep.
Well, I was 5 weeks out and did my skin folds and everything, and I hadn't lost 1%, right? So even though I know what I know as a nutritionist, as a dietitian in the space of bodybuilding, with a couple of decades under my belt, when I'm an athlete, I have a really good ability to be able to shut that off. I'm like, I'm an athlete. Don't ask questions. Just do it.
So logic's gone.
Get in there.
Logic's gone? Is that what you're saying?
It's I wouldn't say logic is gone. There's a choice to follow the process, right? You know, I'm putting another hat on. I'm putting the athlete's hat on. Yeah. Okay, so logic isn't gone. I'm giving my autonomy over to someone else that I trust to take me down the journey and get me on stage. Okay, and the one thing that I wanted for this competition for me is I just wanted to be better than my last show. Back in 2019, to be better than then. And now that my son was a little bit older, I wanted him to be proud of his mum and show him that, you know, when he puts his mind to something, he can do anything, because it's not all dark. But since we're talking about the PED side, get 5 weeks out, Natty, I'm on nothing, right? And I look at myself in the mirror. I was like, fuck. I'm not going to be ready. I'm not going to have that signature conditioning that Lisa always gets. And so found someone. No, wait, I'm not going to mention anyone. I found someone.
No need to mention.
And now I was on the harder stuff. Okay. You know,
Trend?
I was on stuff that, yeah, I got on trend. I got on trend for the last 5 weeks.
I'll just let you know, I've been on trend. Don't worry, I know what trend is.
Yeah, and Holy Mary, Mother and Joseph. Like, yeah, you know, I was on that.
Changes
you know,
everything.
then I was on Primo, but it ended up being test. I was on Proviron and then ended up being test. I was on, you know, Stanner, and that was test after I got it all tested, you know, and so everything that I was having was test. It's just all test. And 99% of what's out there right now, and this is why I'm talking about, the shit's changed. It's not the same. It's all test.
It's all test.
And fillers.
So they just put a different label on it.
That's it, right? You know, because you got to think in COVID lockdown as well, the bioavailability of compounds, you know, how tough the TGA is to start with, trying to get stuff in. is hard. And I was speaking to suppliers. I was speaking to people that were on the other side, and they were finding out how hard it was to kind of get what they needed to get, right? And how there's certain things they can't get anymore. So they mix it with other things and they put it together and they make this blend of something else, which is not really what it is. And, you know, things like, you know, the base ingredients for primobolan, you can't actually fucking get that shit anymore, right? They don't produce that, right? So, you know, like the things that, you know, like clenbuterol as well, you know, like they don't make the compounds for that stuff anymore pharmaceutically, because it's been taken off because of the adverse reactions and the side effects that it's had. Anyway, so how are people making them? How are they putting it all this shit together? So really, I didn't know what the fuck I was on. I was just taking a gamble.
You were just on something
and listening to this person. And
so it was a bit like it's a bit like the placebo effect.
Yeah.
Like you take this pill and you just believe it. That's about it.
Yep. And because you're in that mindset, you just do it. You don't have discernment, and you're an athlete, and you go, I'm just going to do it. And it's generally not until afterwards.
You convince yourself.
Yeah. And, you know, again, I get on stage, I get my pro card. I was up against 17 girls that year. And it was, I think 2022 was the toughest lineup, the biggest lineup that we had since the Arnolds, to be honest. And, you know, so to win against all these girls, they were fucking amazing. Like they were all amazing in their own time. When I was in it was like, oh wow, this is incredible. But again, coming off all that stuff, my body, you know, losing my period, like I'd gone through menopause, you know, my hair started going grey. I started aging at an exponential rate. My gut health had turned to shit. And a lot of the time, you can't just go cold turkey and get off it. You can't just get off it, because for certain bodies, they need to stay on it to be functional, and then slowly start to come off because it's too much of a shock.
It's like all medication.
Yeah, I was one of them. So I had to be on it for at least another 8 months after that. Okay, before I came off, and I was on nothing other than peptides. Not grey market peptides, like proper peptides. Yeah. And it was in that moment, it was in that time, Stephen, that I really go, oh, fuck, you know, I really see what's happened here. I really see what I've done here. And I almost didn't feel proud of what I had achieved. I felt like almost like an imposter, like a fake. Do you know what I mean? And even though everyone else was on it as well, there was no natty up there on the stage, I'm like, well, when does this stop? And how much further do we take? And if the gear had changed yet again, you know, like it's addictive, right? So fast forward 2023, I moved to Queensland with my son. Yep. And I was like, well, I don't feel like I'm a pro until I do a pro show. So here we go again.
Here we go.
Right. Here we go again. Now, this time I was a lot smarter. Okay. I said, right. I'm like, okay, you know, I've got this saying that smart asses learn from their mistakes, dumb asses don't learn from their mistakes, and geniuses learn from other people's mistakes. I'm a smart ass. Okay. Right? So yeah, I'm one of those people. And so I was getting ready for my pro debut at the Triple O Dynasty in Arizona in 2024. And I was doing that show, and then I was doing what was it called now? Can you believe I can't even think of it? It was the Triple O and the Trident. It was the Triple O and the, I can't remember it. It was another triple. It was a triple something. It was in Georgia. It was another pro show. Yeah. That's how much I blocked it out, right? Yeah. So I went over and leading into that journey is that I knew I'd gone down the road of getting my DNA checked on before I started my prep. Yeah. So it's a 200-page, document that, tests for thousands of different genes and mutations and variants. And I'm like, I need to know how far I can go, how far I can push myself. Now, was I absent from PEDs? Absolutely not. But because I knew my DNA, because I now understood myself from a molecular level and molecular structure, I knew how far I could push myself in that space. And it wasn't very far at all, can I tell you that?
Really?
I've got something, the way that we methylate in the body, that's to stimulate, digest, metabolize, detox, vitamins, minerals, phosphates, metabolites, stress hormones, pharmaceuticals as well. All of that plays a big part in your health and how far you can push yourself. Think of it this way, Stephen. It's the slab before you build the infrastructure.
100%.
Right? If your body's not methylating properly and it's prevalent to mutations, then the cheese is going to fall off the cracker at some point. Okay, the foundation's going to be shonky. So I tested for 106 methylation markers, which genetic methylation markers, and I had over 50% mutations. Now, there's two types of mutations. So there's the homozygous and the heterozygous. So the homozygous means that both mum and dad have given you the exact same mutation, and as a result of that, there is a loss of function of 80% of that particular gene, okay, or that particular DNA. The other one's the heterozygous, which means either mum or dad have given you a mutation in that space. We just don't know which one, and there's a loss of function of around 40%. Okay, so when we're talking about PEDs and performance enhancing drugs or other things like grey market peptides, all of that, right? We're going in blindly, right? If you're not testing your shit, then you have absolutely no idea the strength of it, what's in it, what it's mixed with, how long it's been sitting there for, all the rest of it. You then know how far you can push yourself. So let's say, for example, I want to get on to tren, which I never did again, by the way. Let's say I want to get onto tren, okay? And I have 3 IU a week, which is like 10 milligrams per week. In hindsight, nothing. But you've got methylation mutations in the liver, which I do, the PEMP mutation. There's 4 of them. I've got all 4, right? So non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, what is the liver responsible for?
Cleaning.
Processing. Right. It has hundreds of functions. It can make hormones, enzymes, break down the whole work. So what was happening is that my body was not eliminating in that last competition that I did back in 2022, was not eliminating these compounds and recycling them. So I was getting this compounded effect of going up and up and up and up and up because of the loss of function in my liver. It was only running at 20% capacity. And what exasperates that is stress. Now, that could be physical stress from you training in the gym, like you've seen people when they're, in prep and, they wake up, they think about it, they go to bed, they think about it, they're posing all day, they're doing cardio all day, right? You get where I'm coming from. So that's a lot of physical exertion and stress on the body. You're going to create a lot of metabolites just from that. Then there's the mental cognition. Right. Then there's your emotional receptors going off as well. Right. Then you're so fucking hungry. You've got nutritional stress. You can't sleep at night. Your melatonin's not kicked in. So all of a sudden there's a cascade of the slab with all your mutations, and they're going off like it's the 4th of fucking July. Right. So now, instead of looking better, I'm looking worse. I was looking worse because there was all these mutations that were firing off. I hadn't silenced them. And for me, PEDs actually, made it worse because there was a compounded effect. So while some people have great methylation pathways, and, they can handle high doses. And, there's been other bodybuilders, famous bodybuilders that have talked about this. Your ability to make it up there is how much you can actually take without the cheese falling off, mate.
Yep.
But mine wasn't very high. It was down here. So here I am trying to, bro science and do what everyone was telling us to do, right? Or our coaches were telling us to do. I coached myself in that last competition.
So what you were telling yourself?
Yeah, I was telling myself, and I drew the line. I'm like, I'm not going to go over that line. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of what I did leading into that show, and I'll be transparent, was Proviron and peptides, and a little bit of clenbuterol. Yeah. Okay, and that was it. That was as far as I could take it, and it was like the smallest dose. And I'd have to come on for a week or two, liver cleanse, kidney cleanse, and obviously I didn't have a gallbladder at that time either. So and then I would get back on it again. So I the way that I got to stage was using my DNA to guide me how far I could go. Now, on the flip side, the best thing about it is there was no rebound. I have stayed constantly below 12% body fat that whole time. I'm full natty now. I do have peptides.
We should do t-shirts that say I'm back to natty.
Oh, I love that.
Natty. I think it should be like natty again. I'm natty again. Like whoever wants to call themselves natty again, like. What about we call it Natty 2.0? Natty 2.0. Because I noticed why I'm not looking at my phone because I'm bored of any conversation we're having. I'm bringing up that you said on one of your pin posts that you put up 2nd of June, before you change your diet, before you take supplements, before you start hormones, before you follow another coach, do you know your DNA? So it's kind of like, I know why you're saying this, and you mentioned something about how does two people on the same thing have different results. So it doesn't work for everyone. So it just doesn't work for everyone.
No. So, and you're 100% right, Stephen, because that was the real turning point for me. And then obviously if we circle right back around, my health is back to natty. Yes, I do take peptides, recovery peptides, like BPC, KPV, TB500.
Well, does that mean you're natty?
Well, I don't, well, they're amino acids. Right, they're polypeptide chains. They're amino acids.
Maybe you're natty 1.5.
Natty 1.5, right? So they're naturally occurring to the body. They're not pharmaceuticals, so they can't be patented. So when I look at that, I'm like, well, if it's naturally occurring to the body,
you're natty.
Then for me, it's natural, right? Even though it was formulated in a lab, right? So
can natty competitions? Can you go onto a natty competition and be taking peptides?
Wow. Oh, it's so funny you should say that and bring that up, because there is huge discussion around that now, right?
Yeah, right.
So it was ICN, and there was another federation with looking at bringing in peptides like BPC and TB500. I think KPV was on there as well. There's a few others that were on there, not like GLP-1s or IGF-1s, not those types, but there were certain peptides that they were allowing to bring in. Interestingly enough, or there is still in discussion or debate about whether they do that or not. Because, if you look at a lot of natty comps as well, we can go down that road as well. How many of them are really natty, right?
That makes me sad. That makes me sad.
It's sad, but the truth is you've got women there that are over 50 years old, and I know women that are over 50, over 60 that are competing in natural federations that are on HRT. Now, look, I get it. They're only restoring things back to their normal levels, right? But there's that grey line again. Yeah. So what do you do? Do you allow for it? Do you not? Like, it's conversational. Like, I don't know. What would you do? What do you think?
I had Cell on. You know Cell? Cell, he's...
Del Lawrence.
Yeah. He said...
I know him very well,
Yeah,
yes.
he said he's on BBC 157, so he classes himself as not natural. He said, I'm not natural now. So he classes I'm not natural. So he won't go. I think, you know what? I took my first cycle at 49 because I was turning 50, and every decade I would do my own show. And I was thinking of competing. And the foolish thing of me was I thought when you want to compete, you just turn up on the day and you get a ticket to compete. I didn't know you had to pre-book yourself in and everything that goes on. And this was back in the Arnold in 2019 because that's when I turned 50. So I did. I was taking steroids, and I have to say my first cycle, which went for 12 weeks or maybe 16, was the best one because of my naivety and perfection to getting it right and writing things down. My second one was where I went, if I put a little bit more and I start being a bit of a cowboy, I've done this before. Well, I got sick. I lost my appetite. I had my colitis blew up, and I've never had it since because I know how to, I don't get it really, but if I do, things happen in your life, you get it, right? It could be diet, stress, it could be anything. No one really tells you how you get it, but I've decided, look, the thing is, Lisa, I have this attitude, and I'm going to tell you this attitude I have. I'm a great student, and I'll tell you this. I pay attention, and I look around me. And every single guy that was on steroids when I was 20, and they were 20, well, sure and behold, I'm bigger than them now. Meaning, they were bigger than me when I was 20. But this is a long game. This is a long game. It never goes away. So my ego and my vanity goes for decades. So I don't just have a short run to look good, and I'm not going to take a shortcut. So what I'm saying to you is I looked at my 20s and I said to myself, I've got a great career. I make great money. I like Harley Davidsons. I like sports cars, but I like my bodybuilding and it doesn't pay me. So my job gets me all the things I like. So I thought to myself, I just need to look good for these things. So cut a long story short, where I'm coming to now is I'm not on anything. I'm not on TRT. I like steroids I did in 2019. Every single guy that's 57 or in their 50s at the gym is predominantly on TRT. Everyone outside the gym ain't interested, and they're having sex because they didn't abuse themselves with drugs. So my brother-in-law, who's 72, and we were talking about TRT, goes, I don't need it. And I got friends that are overweight who don't train and go get their bloods done, and their testosterone's through the roof because every other person took stuff that shut the communication off and did it so many times, the receptors, and then now we've got everybody that is sad and can't get an erection and goes to the gym to tell us how they get an erection. But that's because they abused it. That's what I've come to realize. And I, too, have nearly been sold on the TRT thing. But so I decided, you know what I'm going to do? And I did it before anyway. Before I touch anything, have I got all my systems right? Am I eating well? Am I not drinking? Am I sleeping? Have I got my business affairs right? Do I make money? Do I have a good relationship? Do I have all these things? And until all those are pristine, and then when I look at it, when I've done it all pristine, I've gone, fuck, I've got a great body. Why do I need it? But because everybody doesn't want to make it pristine and they think the drugs will help you, Dorian Yates said something which I heard and it makes a lot of sense. Dorian Yates said, whatever you've built with steroids, when you take steroids out, it leaves. So he goes, if you've built 10% of your body with steroids, when you stop steroids, you lose that 10%. So if you built your body with 90% steroids, which we've got kids at 20, and at 25 and 18, and haven't even compounded muscle, that muscle's built through decades, and haven't got diets right. So what I'm saying to you is, no wonder, all right, our plastics, our microwaves and all this shit. But the thing is, I also wanted to have a family. I wanted to have kids. How can I let the gym take over my fucking world? So that's what I'm saying is the people have become like, or listening, or have come into this world of bodybuilding, and everyone outside of bodybuilding is okay, predominantly. Trust me. No, I'm not saying they're healthy, but some people outside of bodybuilding are okay. Bodybuilding has become, for me, what I've come to see up until this point, has become one massive anxiety. I don't train right. I don't do that movement right. I don't eat right. I'm getting this wrong. You're getting this wrong. All these mistakes I'm making. And I'm thinking, slow down. Slow down. So what I'm saying is bodybuilding has become one big fear-mongering experience. And that's what I'm saying to you is when you talk to people outside, like I said to another guy about TRT, the guy that mows my lawns, he's Italian, Mario. I said, Mario, have you heard about this product? It's great for TRT. It's good for testosterone. He goes like this. My testosterone's fine. And I know what he's saying. He's saying to me, he gets a hard on and has sex with his wife. That's what he's telling me. That's what he's telling me. He's not telling me. He's telling me he's okay. Not that he's gone and done bloods and done this and done that. He's feeling, I have a beautiful relationship with my wife. I feel strong. I'm mowing the lawns. Like, I don't need it. That's what I'm saying is like this world of drugs is in the bodybuilding world. It's rife only in the bodybuilding world.
Look, and I will say it's become a lot more mainstream, Stephen, as well. So it's kind of spreading. It's kind of spreading. It's things like a virus, like the COVID-19 virus. Okay, and you've got your soccer mums that are lining up, waiting to get rid of TrueTide, or waiting. Lining up to get their clenbuterols and their other fat burgers.
But can I ask you, who are they getting that from? But who are they getting it from?
They're getting it from the influencers.
Yeah.
They're getting it from WhatsApp groups. They're not going down the right channels. But in saying that as well, our medical system is not set up to help people be healthy either, right? So these people are recognizing, like, I go to my doctors, right? And
you got to argue with your doctor.
They go, oh, I've got depression. I just need to move more and eat less and take some, antidepressants and I'll be fine. Or have some Ozempic, right? Or Monjaro or anything like that. The medical professionals aren't medical professionals. They get 2 hours of training in the whole 6 years that they actually do their degrees. And I think it's important to recognize that people are savvy as well as being dumb, and they understand that they're not going to get answers, and they haven't been getting answers. So then they start looking elsewhere. Then that's where you've got these fleeting influencers coming in, these Cert 3s and Cert 4 coaches, these people that have done one bodybuilding competition, or on the flip side, coaches that have been and created a big name for themselves in the bodybuilding world.
But they're not registered. You just had that channel. You just had that Channel 7 story about a person doing diets, and you're allowed to call yourself a nutrition. You're allowed to call yourself a nutritionist. It's legal.
There's no regulation.
Wow.
So it's crazy. This is crazy. So there's so much gray area, and that's not even without getting into the PED side of things, where every second coach is dabbling in it or getting their clients to dabble in it, not for bodybuilding, just for aesthetics, for those before and afters, right? So if we bring everything back to that young boy, Gabriel, who died at the age of 22, he walked into that gym, Gabriel, at the age of 15 with his mother, because I've reached out to his mother. His mother was in the gym at the time, right? And his mother was with a personal trainer.
Yep.
The younger boy was inspired by his mum going to the gym, and she seems like she's quite a younger mum, so she would have had him quite young and single mum. And this coach started coaching him, and this coach was a bodybuilding coach. You become the sum of your environment, right? And this young boy, and I'll say young boy because he was only 15 at the time, sees these big, jacked up, juiced up, boys coming in, getting ready for shows, shredding down, looking, amazing. And, your testosterone and your hormones and puberty is just getting started then, like it's just kicking in. And he got wrapped up in it. So he had been on stuff 12 months after he started from the age of 16 from his coach.
But the thing is, how does his mum feel about? Because this is all in front of her. She was watching all this. She's a trainer.
Yeah, well, she did a huge. She's done a huge. She's Brazilian, so she doesn't speak native. She doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
But can I say that the space that she's in, she still has a huge rapport with. She still doesn't see that it has been a contributor, because the post-mortem for this young boy was that he had a pre-existing anomaly, hypertrophy, cardiomyopathy was what he had. Now, that can be induced by vaccines, of which he did have, right?
Yep.
Okay. And also it was induced, it can be induced by PEDs, extreme amount of PEDs. That epithelium around the heart just increases, gets all inflamed.
He was massive.
Nowhere for the heart. Yeah, he was massive. There's nowhere for the heart to move, to go, right? And and then you throw in insulin and all those other things that go with it. I would say it was a combination of all of those things. Getting back to how his mother isn't she wasn't blaming anyone, right? So she was very proud of her son, very proud of what he had done, very proud of so she's intact. She's, trying to and understandably honor his legacy. And I want to be so careful how I say this, Stephen, right? But there is a level of distortion that goes with that, again, when you're in that environment, you can't see out of it. So she had various Olympians ring her up, speak to her, tell them how, amazing the son was, and, his legacy will carry on and all the rest of it.
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
Tell me how amazing it was, because I don't know him until you did the story. So how amazing was he?
Yeah, look, I would say this is a young boy that hasn't grown up with a male role model and figure, that was dealing with a lot of daddy issues, okay, from what I could see in his stories. And he would wear his story in his stories, if that makes sense. So everything that he would do would be in there. He'd be shooting up in his in his stories. He'd be talking about his makeups and breakups with girlfriends and things like that in there. He'd be talking about, fights that he'd had, with other bros in the gym and all that sort of jazz. So we're dealing with a young boy that needed more behavioral cognitive healing, that his mind is still developing. Like a boy's mind or a male's mind isn't fully cognitive and developed until the age of 26.
Yeah, but the thing is, I broke a lot of hearts. They broke my heart. I went into punch-ons. There's no legacy in that. I don't understand.
No, yeah. I understand where you're coming from, but what I'm saying is that I'm trying to be respectful here.
No, yeah,
what I'm saying.
No, I'm just trying to say is I understand what they're saying, but wisdom, even wisdom doesn't come till later in life. Even sometimes,
absolutely.
Sometimes you get wisdom, whether you like it or not,
yeah.
through age. Like you have wisdom with whether you like it or not. You're 45, did you say?
45.
Yeah. So you know what a 25-year-old girl would feel like. You know what a 35-year-old girl would feel like. You know what an 18-year-old girl would feel like. What I'm saying is, how can an 18-year-old female have your wisdom? Can't. So what I'm saying to you, pretty impossible. So what I'm saying to you is, I'm still trying to understand legacy, but I'm not trying to be rude. What I'm saying is, it's sad. It's sad.
What is your version of legacy? Like, because like different things mean different things to people. So your interpretation of legacy, what is that?
Generational.
Okay.
Generational takes this legacy on, or you created possibly a little. I mean, maybe, but okay. I'll tell you legacy. Frank Zane, that's going to be legacy, and I had him on the podcast. And what he did was to make sure he was not outspoken about anything or anyone, or to ruin a foundation that built his legacy, but not to destroy his legacy on his last few years. So he's worked hard that when he's gone, we'll still be talking about Frank Zane's most aesthetic physique. We'll still talk about him. That's legacy. That's a person that is policing it accordingly.
So we're looking at generational, but we're also looking at values as well.
Yeah.
You know, which pulls everything back to intent.
Yeah.
What is the intent to take all these things? What is the intent to spruce yourself on the stories the way that you do? But you're right, you know, at 22 years old, it's very hard. You can't create a legacy because the two don't go hand in hand. It's like you're a spring chicken, and legacy is something. You're a legend. Right, you're at the other end.
But what I'm saying to you is, then we, again, nothing against this kid, but we're normalizing that eventually a 12-year-old will think his legacy will be at 22.
Correct.
So we're speeding everything up. But
and this is the distortion, Stephen.
Yes, distortion.
Right?
Correct.
This is the distortion, and it's the evolution of distortion, right?
Yeah.
So every I'm going to say what is happening a majority of the time is that these young athletes, and it starts with the coaches, are bringing them in even earlier, even younger, and they're normalizing that, right? Now, if I was
it's a business
in that, it's a business, right? It makes money, and they get money from doing that, business, right? Yeah. No child, teenager should be, you know, under the age of 25, even under the age of 30, should be even looking at touching PEDs. Yeah, now it's a given. It's normal. You just do it. Go for it, right? And then these boys, they can't get, you know, they can't make babies anymore. Yeah. They can't get an erection and have sex. Women go through early menopause. Okay, they can't have babies anymore. They now suddenly present as men. Biochemically.
Oh, they do. From behind.
Right. They go through transgender transition, and we're normalizing it. Right.
Wow.
Like my mind is absolutely freaking blown by what I am seeing in the figure, and in the physique, and in the women's bodybuilding divisions right now. Like, it is blowing my mind. You've got, like, I find it really hard with some of these individuals, right, to look at them and go, did that person start as a man? Or were they a woman? Or are they a woman? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's a few of them that are there, and then, you know, they put their wigs on, and they put their makeup on, and they get up on stage and they do their poses. But because you're in it and you're on those tables now, and you've got the judges, and in my mind, I'm probably gonna put my foot in it when I say this.
Yeah, go on.
But the quality of judging has gone down. It hasn't increased. It's gotten worse. And I will tell you this, I do believe there is a lot of those muscle fetishes, those muscle women admirers, those guys there, those people there that have that presupposition that are to blame for this. You've got that, what is it, that bodybuilding channel. It's a couple of dudes over in the UK, not the UK, in Germany. Oh, what's it called? Can't think of it anyway. So female something channel of bodybuilding. And they started quite modestly, and now they're like really pushing the extremes, and they're putting the extremes, and they're women up there, and they're putting these young teenage girls up there, and they're like built like G.I. Janes, you know, and I'm looking at them and I'm just seeing where all these women that have gone through a gender transition, they still got, you know, excess chromosomes, but they are not looking like women. They are not sounding like women. Most of these women don't even want to talk because, and I know, because I got like that for years. Right?
Oh, you're speaking, you're also speaking through experience yourself. I know.
Yeah, personal experience. I get it. I get it. Right? Yeah. So the level of distortion, and like you said, Stephen, normalizing it, you lose that whole legacy building, don't you? You lose it all. The foundation of it is what are you building?
100%.
What is this for? What is your intention?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why with this young boy, Gabriel, it hit home for so many reasons, you know, like I'm a single mother, like Gabriel's mum, right? And I take my boy to the gym. Well, my garage gym. But, you know, he's turning 11 this year. He's still a baby. But, you know, 4 more seasons, 3 more seasons. And he's like, Mum, when I'm allowed to go into the gym, I want to come with you. I want to train with you. I want to be big and muscly. And, you know, and so like, it really hits home. And then to be following a young man and you knowing as a mother what's happening. And where this is going to lead and what have you, it's really something that I couldn't be silent on. And like you said, last week, there was another young boy, 22 years old.
Yeah, I think I just like, all right, would I take a cycle again? Yeah, definitely. I don't know when. I don't know when. Would I do another cycle? I'll do a cycle. But this time, I want a different starting position. I want to be at a different place to start, different starting position, right? But 1, I'm not in a rush, and 2, I don't care if I don't. That's it. I just don't care if I don't.
That's the difference. You're not attached to it.
No.
You don't define yourself by that. You're not, this is my identity.
No.
This is who I am.
Yeah.
It's something that you do.
If I want to.
But it's not who you are.
Yeah. Because
and for a lot of these individuals, it becomes who they are. And I was speaking to someone very well, you'd probably know them as well, but I'm going to keep it quiet, where, you know, they've pulled back again and they're like, I don't know myself. I've put myself in this for 10 years. Steve, you know, is what she said, Stephen. And I don't know who I am anymore.
Yeah, I think it's look, it's interesting, but I think what it is what I'm seeing is there's an analogy. Some things I can't work it out now, but what I'm trying to say is every single person does something and believes they're an expert in this game. So the first comp they do, they're suddenly a posing coach. The first comp they do, it's like they know compounds. And they blatantly are passing it on as they believe they're experts. Now, I told you, I took a cycle. I've got it on my phone. I have to read it back to you because I can't remember it off by heart. But if you look at my phone and how I wrote it, in the cycle, it talks about my diet. It talks about my vitamins. It talks about what to introduce. I have written the future and worked backwards. So I know, and then I work backwards. So it wasn't just, when I look at it, it's so technical. It's extremely technical. That's why I can't remember it. I can't tell you exactly. I have to read it again properly. And I know, unless you're willing to do that, why would you do it? Like, that's what I'm saying is, so for me to sit there and try to tell you over a drink what you should take, or over the internet what to take quickly, it just doesn't work that way. And what I'm getting at is, I am far from an expert. Someone told me that, and I didn't do enough research on that, but I did write a plan. But this time, I'm going to study it. This time, if I do it, this time I'm going to be like a motor that now needs alcohol to run down the quarter mile, because it already is a great motor. So for it to
and what is the center point of all that, right? So what is the center point of choosing, deciding, going down that road of PED use? It is knowing the ecosystem. What is you talked earlier about getting all your ducks in a row, right? But and that's great from an environmental point of view, but who are you?
But one more thing I'll say.
Inside.
But one more thing, which you said, it's an ecosystem. It's what it's called, a cycle. We're in, we're out. That's it. 12 weeks.
Do you know
in
how many
and out?
Out.
What I'm saying is, and that's the difference back in the day.
Yeah.
Lee Priest, Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, they all speak that they only took cycles prior to competing. They couldn't wait to be off cycles. Like, that's what I'm saying is, that's why it's called, even with Dave Hughes on my podcast, it's called a cycle. You've decided that you're going to rev this motor for a short time and fucking put it back in the garage or drive it back on the street. You just can't continue redlining the motor. It's not going to handle. It's built for, like the Bathurst 1000, they build motors to run for 1,000 kilometers, whatever that thing is. That's it. It's a cycle, not to continue it.
No, but the cycle has capacity, and the capacity is based on the ecosystem. So your cycle capacity, intensity, dose is going to be different from Joe Blow down the road.
Of course.
Or me or someone else.
You can't share, like, that's what I'm saying,
No, this is it. You're right. Why we've got these stock standard doses, and we're normalizing these doses when people are going to be taking steroids. That's it. People are going to continue buying black market. That's not going to stop. People find a way when they want something, okay? But at least, if we're looking at keeping some kind of integrity in the sport, that if we're putting these parameters in place, like if you understand who you are genetically, how far you can push yourself, you're screening your heart, you're doing those right things, you know your capacity to cycle, right? Even if it's outside of your scope of practice and what have you, because people are going to do that anyway. They're not going to stop because Lisa Saygun suddenly says, no, sorry, it's outside your scope of practice and you can't do it, right? They're still going to do that. But if you know yourself from a genetic standpoint, if you understand how your body methylates, how it processes, how it detoxes. I'm interested in to know that, yes. What mutations you have. It's not just with PEDs, but it's with certain foods and compounds and supplements and all areas of your life. And the best fucking thing about it is you can silence your mutations so that they never switch on again. Okay. And that is genetic rewriting or splicing in the genetic world. Right. So, we come with, 3.2 billion base pair DNAs, right? Now, the ones that make the most significant impact on us are the protein coding DNA, right? So there's 20,000 of them, okay? And those 20,000 protein coding genes, they're the polypeptide strains, right? They're the ones where you get so much of the mutations. But guess what? It accounts for 1 to 2% of your whole genome, okay? Then you've got other genetic compounds in there that are not protein coding, that are non-protein coding, that are mRNAs and transfer RNAs, right? And then you've got ones, and they're only like 24%. So they're even more profound than the DNA mutations themselves, or the DNA that you get written. So here's the analogy, right? So you've got your DNA where your mutations are, right? And then you've got which we call in the technical world exons, okay? And then you've got your non-protein coding DNA, which is called introns. Introns are basically anything that could influence what turns on and off those protein coding genetic, right, mutations that you have, silence them or not. So they account for 24% of those 3.2 billion bases. It gets even more wild than that, right? So there is another DNA cluster, which is basically our ancestral one, right? That has been and evolved over thousands and thousands of years. Transfiltration, right? 50%. They have learned to evolve and kind of exist within the ecosystem that we have. You know, and what's so amazing is that what influences us is not the 50%, right? It's the small numbers, it's the mutations, it's the scripture, right? And then it's the, you know, the introns that is our the environment that those mutations are in, and that's where epigenetics comes in. Now you can rewrite that whole code. You can take a polypeptide strain of your helix of your DNA that's mutated, and if I go one step further, a genetic mutation. I'm going to geek out now. I get so excited about this. So when you have a genetic mutation, it means on that polypeptide chain, that you've got, something is either missing, so we call that a deletion, or it's duplicated, which means there's more of it, right? Which will either lose function or gain function, or there's another thing called translocation, which means the arginine has decided to splice itself over at the end where the glycine is, and so now it doesn't run normally, right?
Yep.
So when you are, you know, if you think about this, so that polypeptide chain has the ability to change, and what allows that to change from a site, and this is done, like this is actually being tested in the laboratories at the moment, and it's something called splicing, where you can literally rewrite the DNA, where you know, you take peptide, the right peptide molecule, right, the right chain of peptide molecules, you put it inside the cell. Now inside the cell there is something called the the nucleus. So the nucleus is inside the cell. That's like the brain of the cell, right? And that's where the genome exists, and it's got, this is how you make this polypeptide mutated strain. You put the new peptide in, and you keep doing that over a period of time. Then the ribosomes, which are essentially the little transfer mRNA, the tradies that build it, go, this is good shit. Right? So then they start creating that, and then you're rewriting the whole DNA. Again, if you can fuck your genes up through epigenetics, you can fix them up too. Okay? You can switch them on and you can turn them off. And that's why I'm so passionate about this pathway in the bodybuilding space, because there are so many great areas we work with.
Which is the peptide pathway? Which is the peptide pathway?
not necessarily saying peptide, I'm talking testing, the right testing, getting the
testing.
genetic testing done that you need, and being informed on how to integrate that with everything else that they're doing, right? And when you have that understanding and that knowledge, I'm not going to say it's going to, stop, what's happening in the world of bodybuilding right now, but there might be a few that we end up saving. There might be some that go, hey, it's re-engineering a new culture of coaches, a new culture of athletes, a new culture of judges.
How long would that take
to
change the culture?
Wow, how long's a piece of string? It starts with one person, doesn't it? Like, how long has it taken us to get here in bodybuilding? Well, and to be able to speak up about it.
I think, it's a good question. I think, I think it's happened very quickly though, because I think it's post-COVID, and I think the jab, which we'll talk about a little bit, I think the jab taught us to get jabs and also to do things against our will, and sometimes against our gut feeling, and to ignore that, and also to compromise ourselves. Like I mean, I didn't get vaccinated. I'm not sure. Did you get vaccinated?
No fucking way.
So,
absolutely not.
But the funniest thing is they acted like there's not many clean skins out there. But there is. There's so many people that have not.
They call it natural blood.
Natural blood. There's so many people that haven't taken it, but every single person that did seems to only have one excuse, and that was money. That was food on the table. And I say to them, but that was with me as well. I don't understand. And they think you should understand them. You should sympathize with them. But I'm saying, hang on, just like you and just like me, I had to pay bills. I had to put food on the table, but I just guess I looked at the system and thought, how do I work this system? Because that's all I have to do is lay low.
Knowing how to skirt it,
lay low. How long will this go for? How long can I resist the dark side? How long can I stay away from this and keep my head down and learn to have to work with this system and let everyone else get shot down with taking. So I think I was going to say, I think it has sped up, but I think that the other thing that's changed, but I'm going to pose two things to you right now because I was thinking about it. One, because I'll tell you something. I believe counting calories is a scam, and I'll tell you why. When we grew up, we knew junk food and good food, right?
Yeah.
And we knew fat food, fatty food, and good for you food. Let's just call it that. And if I said to a mate, let's go have some junk food, we knew it was burgers and fries. Let's just say that, or whatever it was. Doesn't matter. But now you don't go to McDonald's and say, let's have some junk food. You see if it fits your calories. So it doesn't matter. What matters is what the calories tell you. It doesn't matter micronutrients, macronutrients. It doesn't matter anything anymore. What I'm kidding is, so today, which is that girl you talked to, that post from Channel 7, nutritionist, I'm still, what I discovered with counting calories, and I was resisting it at one point. If me and you are going for a burger, don't tell me the fucking calories. I don't want to know. If I'm having a tiramisu, don't fucking tell me the calories. I don't want to know. If I'm having a pizza, don't fucking tell me the calories. I don't want to know. But yes, I realized protein calories of a fish, how many calories I need, to lamb. No wonder I was bloating, because I was having 300 grams of lamb because I was having 300 grams of fish. They didn't work together. But once I realized, slow down, cowboy, if you can just have your lamb, but just reduce it, because it doesn't work with you because you're just putting too much in. Because I was wondering, variety is the spice of life, variety of proteins, but I was putting on weight. And I said, what's going on? I'm just having healthy protein. But that's when I needed to count my calories. Okay, let's get educated on that. Let's start learning about good food and how I can manipulate it through the calories. But talking about junk food, fuck off. I'm going out to eat and I don't want to know and I don't want to count, because for me, it's kind of like, I already know that it's not the best cuisine right now, but I also know no one is going to stop me from having Nonna's lasagna, and I'll tell you why. Firstly, Nonna's lasagna doesn't make
is the best in the world.
Is the best in the world. But Nonna's lasagna doesn't make you fat, and I'll tell you why.
No.
Because there's love, and when you eat love, and you eat person giving you love, doesn't hurt you. That's what I'm trying to say to you.
I'm going to go down the technical side of that, because like in a good way, and explain exactly what you're saying.
I'm not saying that, of course, it's probably if you eat too much lasagna, but what I'm saying is you just don't need to know so much.
No. There's calorie aware and calorie knowing. Now, if I go back to 2024, and I had this happen to me a lot of times, like where I had athletes asking me what my macros were and what my
Can I just say one more thing? Yeah. And I believe that the junk food companies have caught on to calories, and they've brought them in to help market their business and grow their business. So that's what's happened. It's just a smart move. It's the smartest move. Like you don't only need to walk around the outside of the aisles. You can count all you like in the middle. They've created that. We're talking about protein processed salami, protein chocolate. Oh my God, protein chips. Like everything's protein. And you turn the pack, you also just count the calories. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So back in 2024 when I was competing, like I knew what I knew, and I knew I had to do it differently. So when someone said to me, what are your macros and how many calories you're on, I couldn't tell them, because the way that I ate was intuitive. Now, did you see that go up? I did a thumbs down.
It does. But if you give it a thumbs up, it should go up now.
All right. So I couldn't tell you. It was intuitive, and I'd look at my body and I'd listen to my body, and it would tell me what I needed. In terms of calorie awareness, like I know that a palm-sized piece of protein is going to be roughly, 200 calories, and so when we're looking at the scientific side, and then we're looking at the more intuitive side, you've got to understand that a lot of people in today's society are disassociated, right? They have not learned how to listen to their bodies, or there has been traumas that have caused them to disassociate from their bodies and not understand the different phases of nourishment that our bodies automatically go through. When we came into this world, our body, we didn't have to plug a computer system into our body to say, this is how you make the heartbeat. This is how you make food digest. This is how you assimilate body fat, build muscle, regulate your blood sugar levels. That is a phenomena. That is just it, right? It is there. It exists. But the cognitive programming in the brain, we use 5% of our peanut brain every single day. The conscious part of our brain, the learning center, the learning zone, that's the programming. And a lot of the time, it's a virus. right? And we have to constantly like re-educate ourselves on what is right. You know, how is this feeling in my body? Oh, my body feels like it's a bit of a cleansing phase of nourishment. Oh, at the moment, I'm in an anything fucking goes phase of nourishment. Nothing's wrong. Nothing is broken. But when you're trying to put round pegs in square holes, shit's going to happen, right? You know, and I hear this a lot of the time with coaches. They like to stick to the calories, just stick to the chicken because you can't have meat because it's more fucking calories. But, you know, someone has meat and then suddenly they feel better with it. Do you need to know why? No, you don't. You just need to know that, hey, that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on the flip side, there does need to be reprogramming of the precognition and the learning center for a lot of people because we have been indoctrinated and dumbed the fuck down, right? When it comes to what is a good food. Do you know that over 53% of children under the age of 16 have never had a vegetable in the US? 53 fucking percent. If you were to put vegetables in front of them, they wouldn't even know what it is.
Amazing.
Except for a potato chip. So when you're looking at things more holistically and you understand that, okay, so there is awareness and there is black and white facts with science, and then you've got the ecosystem which is ever changing inside the person, and you understand that there's all these different phases of nourishment that person is going through. We are not meant to be in the fanatical fitness fucking fundamentalist phase of nourishment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Just like we're not meant to be in the cleansing phase of nourishment 365 days a year. Like you got the Yogi Bears that do that and they fucking starve and then they end up dead, right? You can't expect to be in the anything fucking goes phase of nourishment either, right? Or you can't be in the learning phase of nourishment. I'm just learning my food right now, because you're never going to get anything done either. Your body is giving you cues and signals, and we need to slow down the noise in our brain to actually like call out what those symptoms are. People have lost the idea of what is you know, hunger cues these days, right? Are you hungry here or are you hungry here, right? What does it mean when your body craves, you know, chocolate? Well, maybe it needs antioxidants and cacao, not Cadbury, right? Maybe. But maybe it does. Maybe love, right? And this is where we're talking about, you have your nonna's lasagna or your you know, spanakopita, right? And she's making it with love. You're eating that food. You're releasing dopamine. You're releasing serotonin, right? So your cortisol level is non-existent, Stephen. It's not there. You are now metabolizing that food at a better rate than someone that's sitting there having fucking anxiety over it, thinking how many bloody calories are in it, right? Oh, is that gravy and that cheese or that potato that's on top, is that going to bloat me? I've got IBS, which is self-diagnosed, of course. So when you eat food in a relaxed state, in a state of love, in a state of happiness, and you absorb yourself into the cephalic phase of digestion, everything is naturally upregulated. You don't need to input that shit in. You don't need to stick some clenbuterol in for that. You don't need to add some retatrutide in for that, right? The body automatically does it. But unfortunately, we are so disassociated that we've lost those cues. Now, when you eat in a state of happiness and in a state of relaxing, you slow down and you're present and you put your phones away and you engage like old school. That's why the wogs love having their Sundays, you know, and we just spend the whole day just eating food. None of us were fat, and drinking the vino and doing all that. Then what's happening is that you're stopping and silencing any potential mutations around histamines or methylation that you may already have in the body but have been silenced because your body is in a state of revival, your body is in a state of calm, your body is in a state of happiness. When it is in a state of anxiety, when it is in a state of depression or anger or what have you, everything becomes vasorestricted. Everything, you know, you're releasing cortisol, you're releasing adrenaline, your mutations switch on, your body's recirculating all that shit. No wonder it's a vicious cycle. And that's the technical analogy of it.
Well, yeah, it's just like I said, I could be wrong and I could be right, but as a person that is disciplined, that doesn't need the stage to discipline themselves and doesn't and will do, but what confuses me is when, and I've not brought this up before, but what confuses me is when people are going to a wedding and they're bringing Tupperware. Now, hear me out. If you haven't, because you know pretty much a wedding's 6 weeks away, right? You know something's how far away. And you know that at the wedding, I'm going to say it, I don't care. And I could be wrong because I'm not a coach. And you've got a contest prep coming up or whatever it is. And that contest prep is another 4 weeks away. I can tell you that without Tupperware, I can work out myself how to stay conditioned through that ceremony by knowing what they put on the table there, how to manage all that. Maybe if I don't want to drink alcohol and I don't want to have sugar drinks and I don't want to have the cake, but I know there is things that are going to land and things that are in front of me that I know if I just know how to nibble through, but I know how to do post-wedding, but I also know how to do pre-wedding. So I know how to go in prior to the wedding and I know how to go post-wedding. So why are you taking Tupperware in? I'm thinking to myself, when you need a junk food moment, you need the body to...
I love that. That's the key. You need a junk food moment.
So savor the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, you need that. Yeah. We're multidimensional human beings. We don't operate on one emotion, right? On one phase of nourishment. Yeah. So I've been working with clients in competition for since 2004.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what have we got coming up?
Yeah.
We've got 16 weeks getting into a show. Tell me how many weddings, baptisms, whatever it is that you've got, because we work around that. So I'm with you 100%. I always, like, if there's a birthday, they can go out and have a birthday cake because I've set it up for them so that they can, right? And then I've taught them how they can do that. I think there's this badge of honor on doing it hard. There's this ego and this badge of honor, Stephen, where it's like, oh, you've seen it, right? You've been in the industry for 30 years around people. Oh, I'm so tired. They're walking around like this. Oh, I'm in peak week, I'm depletion week. And I was even there, I was there at some point.
Of course.
In my early career, and it is a badge of honor because it is an identity.
Yeah.
I am Lisa Saygun, pro bodybuilder, and I walk around with my Tupperware container and I wear it with a badge of honor because look at me, right? So, I don't know if you noticed with my profile, I don't put retired IFBB pro. I don't put there. I don't do these comebacks. We're going, throwback Thursday from when I was, right. So it was a chapter of my life. I'm so grateful for it. And I absolutely fucking love everything about it. It doesn't mean I'm never going to, have a moment where I go back in time, but I'm not looping. And a lot of people, and we were going to speak about and one of the reasons why I'm getting my podcast back up and running with Rose is to speak about the art to life. Life after bodybuilding, and you hear this, and you see this all the time, and where people, they've been in it for 10, 20, even 30 years, and they don't know how to deal with life. And the only way they know how to deal with life is putting themselves in a competition and disassociating and pretending it's not there, right?
Interesting that you say that. Interesting, because
and I see
because bodybuilding was part of my career. Bodybuilding was part of being a dad. Bodybuilding was part of being married. Bodybuilding was part of like it just, I don't think I've ever retired because
No.
because I need it. I need it to function. I need it to function not for I just need it as a tool for the approach to things I do in life that makes me feel good doing it. So
right. So your definition is different of what bodybuilding. We talked about before the Australian culture versus overseas, how it's different. It's a very different, but also again, competing versus, bodybuilding lifestyle every day versus bodybuilding on stage, competing, being an athlete, and doing things at the extreme echelon of bodybuilding, so to speak. They walk away from that. And a lot of them, they've blinked and they've gone, it's been 20 years, it's been 30 years. What have I done? I've bodybuilded. I've done 50 fucking shows. And it's great achievements, but they don't walk away feeling happy. A lot of them don't walk away feeling happy. And then the only time that they feel happy is when they're in a prep. And that's what I'm talking about, the badge of honor, right? So, and then you've got mental illness that has crept in, or unresolved issues that hasn't been attested to. You've got the abuse of PEDs if they've gone down that road, and the recovery from that. Like, it's fucking huge. And I see it all the time, like retired athletes getting back up on stage, a couple of years later because they can't deal with civilian life. They don't know how to integrate. Like, think about this, prisoners. Right, they've been behind bars for 20 or 30 years, or even ones that have been behind bars for 5 years, and they get let out. You're at large now, mate. Go for it. And they can't deal with it. There's been docos on this, right? They can't deal with it, so they recommit the crime to go do more time because it's what they know. It might not be desirable, but it's what they know. And it's a sense of safety for them. It's crazy. It's fucked up. I know, but that's true, right? And this is not just with bodybuilding, Stephen. Like, look at someone that might be in their career and absolutely love their career, but then there's, again, distortion where they immersify themselves in their career and then they forget about their family. Right? 100%. So, it's not fixed to bodybuilding. But there's this obsession, and generally there's a profiling that goes with that, isn't there? Like, people that become obsessed or uber disciplined with something, there is a predisposition to that person. If we look at what the common traits would be, right? Yeah. And so if you know that about yourself, and you know that you have certain traits, characteristics, and then your environmental in your environment that has cushioned that or supported that. Well, if you have that awareness about yourself, you will then know when you're getting to that tipping point and when to pull yourself back down. So let me give you an example. I had an eating disorder as a teenager. I used to throw down laxatives. I was a little fat pogpeta, the little meatball, right? I used to throw down those chocolate little laxatives that you used to get. You know what I'm talking about? And because mum always had them in the cupboard, and my mum had an eating disorder as well. So there was a genetic predisposition, and she ran her own modelling school, and so the girls were like this, and I'd be looking at my mum's models, and they'd be like 6 foot fucking tall, turn 3 times to make their own shadow, and I was this little 4 foot nothing girl, and then in those days my mum was taking germline, and she was on the 40 milligram germline. And I remember this one time, I was 14 years old. My mum gave me a germline tablet. I was 50 kilos at 14 years old, going through puberty, and she gives me a germline tablet. I was off my fucking face, ended up in hospital, right? And then, from there I felt, I'm not good enough unless I'm skinny like these girls, or I look like these girls. So I went down this road. I'd be doing 100 sit-ups a day. I'd be doing push-ups every day. I'd run like Forrest Gump, and then I started taking the laxatives, and then I wouldn't eat my lunch at school, right? And then you put on there, bullying and all the other stuff that we talked at the start of our thing. And that led me to, getting 12 months later at the age of 15, being, 23 kilos and being hospitalized.
Very sad.
Right now, so anorexia, there is a certain genetic profile, right, that I have, which is, an addiction gene, and a high fear response gene, and that's in my gene, right? I'm not broken. It's just how I'm put together, right? Now you add trauma to that. You add your caregiver saying, indirectly and directly, you're not good enough, or you're not pretty, or this or that, which are things that happened as a kid. Then as a child, like, the ultimate of rejection is when you get rejected by your own parent. That is the ultimate. Doesn't get any worse than that, right? So who cares if, you've got all these other people around you? My own mother rejected me. My own father didn't choose to get back in contact with me. It was it. That's why my nonna took me in. But anorexia never leaves you, right?
Nor does the fat kid.
Right. It doesn't leave you, but you have discernment, right? Yeah. You don't act on certain impulses that you might have. You get to a point where you don't loop and go back in, or understand that if you're going to go on a diet to get ready for your trip overseas in Italy, which I'm doing in 16 weeks, then I'm not doing it based through fear. I'm not doing it based through addiction. The foundation in which it's set on is not because I'm fat and I don't like the way that I look. I look fucking amazing, right? And I love the way that I look now more than when I was on stage. This is my real body. It's not my rented body. But you still get those little moments where it pops back in. And the catalyst, there's two catalysts here. There is making sure that you're getting, obviously, the right help and the right therapy. And I used EMDR therapy, which is rapid eye movement desensitization therapy. And that worked amazingly for me. For other people, it doesn't work. And having the right nutrients in your body. If you know you have certain genetic predispositions as well, again, you can switch that stuff off. I know when I get to that tipping point, but you don't need to know what your genes are. You can feel it. You can feel it when it's kind of coming in, and you can get to that point where you can stop and control. And it's not just with food or with anorexia, with anything. It's alcoholism, it's with certain, like, porn's a big thing these days, porn addictions and things like that. So the point is that we're dealing with a lot of people in the bodybuilding world that are disassociated, dealing with trauma, don't know how to signal their bodies properly anymore, are in a position where they're being told what to do and have been told what to do for decades because they've had coaches. And then they leave that world, Stephen, and like, who am I? How do I eat? What do I do? What's the life like without a coach?
Do you think it's also like affiliations? What I mean by that is, do you think we've discounted we've created this collaboration world where even the supplement companies, I'm not talking about Nutrition Warehouse is my sponsor. I'm just saying, they're a sponsor. So I think we have a discount code and we don't even share it with anyone. Not because I already know Nutrition Warehouse has great discounts anyway. Trust me, you'll go do our code, which is 15.
It's my favorite shop.
Yeah,
it's like my Kmart.
No, what I'm saying is they'll go to probably Nutrition Warehouse, and that day they've got a 20% sale, and I'm a 15% discount code. So why would you use my code? So what I mean is
exactly.
So what I found, because when we started the podcast, we fell into the collaboration. What we found was it was worth nothing. We pretended we were entrepreneurs. We pretended we were valuable, but we were nothing. And then not that we were controlled by them, but at the end of the day, they don't take you seriously. So what I mean is, it's sad that business is capturing these innocent people, telling them, I'm going to send you a box of protein powder to you, and you do a box opening and you act like you're some really important person, but we've given you your and we've given you a discount code, and you just sold us $1,000 a month worth of product, and here's your $10. Here's $10.
Oh yeah,
you know,
you're an overglorified sales rep.
You're
Correct.
a glorified sales rep. So what I mean by that is, I think it's just not coaches. I think this industry, the whole machine,
it's an ecosystem,
and
it's a whole
and
ecosystem.
everyone in it has become a victim. Well, what I'm saying to you is, before, in my day, you know, the amateur league, like there were people earning in the amateur league $100,000 a year back in the 90s. $100,000's a lot. There were people that were sponsored that did magazines, and I looked at them as the pinnacle of the sport, but I was happy to be a network engineer. I was happy to have a job, and I was happy to, you know, buy the tracksuits that they were selling at their gym, and I was happy to buy supplements, but I just knew I wasn't going to be a paid athlete, so I wasn't going to take the sport to that level. I was running it on my vanity, on my ego, and looking the best network engineer I could be, because that's what I was. I was a network engineer.
Yeah.
And so what I mean is, it's kind of like the industry now is like people, they're trying to convince us that there's something, like, even, that's what I'm saying is, everybody believes they know success and they know what an entrepreneur, or they've lowered the grade of entrepreneur. For me, an entrepreneur would be Richard Branson, Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, books that I've read.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. To me, they're entrepreneurs that have built something, you know? And I know entrepreneurs around me, people that run businesses, and they're not even on social media. So for me, it's kind of like, I don't know what's going on. Like, this industry has become, I don't know, it's just interesting. I don't know where I was going to say, which unfortunately I'm not saying I love bodybuilding. I'm just saying I love bodybuilding. Yeah. But it's become a bit of a circus. You know what I mean?
It's a circus. It's a freak show. It is an incredibly intertwined ecosystem that is like being in some cartel.
Yeah. And you have to have your wits about yourself. You just have to. Like,
you do.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is, I love bodybuilding, but I'm attentive to it. Like, I'm paying attention because you can't, not that you can't trick me. What I'm saying is, it's not that hard. I eat chicken and rice, and I go to the gym. It's completely boring, and I love it because it's completely boring. It's
because it's built on a different base, isn't it? It's built on a different foundation for you.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's not like, if I'll give you an example today, because we did the podcast late. So I was working, and our podcast was at 6 p.m., which we're doing, and then I said, I think it was like 3:30, and I said, I don't really want to train after the podcast, and it's my second day back from my rest day, and I said, can I fit it in? So I said, can I fit it in? So then I looked at my paperwork, and I said, you know, you're going to dawdle before the podcast, so you know what? Stop dawdling, get dressed, go to the gym, and I did legs. And I just said to myself, all right, we may need to tweak this a little bit different, meaning it could be not great progressive overload. We will push, but we're not going to go to the point where this is going to take me an hour and a half. We got an hour to make this work. So it worked. Everything was in there. Everything was put into place. but it was just a different structure. But what I'm saying is I wouldn't go to the gym if I was cutting deals. I wasn't going to go. If I was cutting deals and I hadn't yet accomplished through my diary, we're not going. Like, that does, you know what I mean? Like, so, but I want to go. So I'm making it work with me. It has to work in with me, not dominate me, because I've been there too. I've had body dysmorphia. I've probably been close to anorexic because I didn't know how to count calories and I was probably putting little plates and eating small and starving to death. But
do you remember do you remember the baby food era?
I do know the baby food. I didn't have it, but I know people that ate the baby food era. Yeah.
I did.
I think it still works if baby food is around. Is it around? I don't even know. I think it still works. But, you know, I think you need to go through all the extremes of bodybuilding. Hear me out. But not like, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
How do you feel as a bodybuilder not to be on steroids? How do you feel? As a bodybuilder not being on steroids, how do you feel?
Yeah, so I can tell you.
I want to say not just feel body-wise, how do you feel as an accomplished?
I get it. If I look at things holistically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, nutritionally, physically.
And the work you're putting in now for that, the work you're putting in naturally for that. So how do you feel?
Yeah. I feel amazing.
I know. Isn't that an amazing feeling?
I feel amazing. I look amazing. You know, my skin, my texture, everything. It's like when I was bodybuilding and when I was on roids bodybuilding, my body was dying. It was building, but it was dying, you know. And I have this saying that, you know, like a little bit like what you were mentioning before, is that when you're on, you're renting that Airbnb.
Yeah.
Right? You're renting it. And then when you're off, that's where the reality kicks in, right? And then depending on what you've done then will depend on the foundation of how you're genetically put together. For example, that depends on what the recovery process is going to be like as well. But, you know, we talked about, you know, earlier going through menopause and, you know, and all that sort of thing. Well, you know, in the last, you know, 8 months, I've managed to get my cycle back. You know, I've, you know, my grey hairs, I've got normal coloured hair coming through now. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, I wake up in the morning and there's no snap, crackle and pop. Right, I don't need a coffee to get started. You know, I'm not out of breath. There was this time where, you know, at my biggest, I'm 54 kilos now. But at my biggest, and this is when I was with Mike Debenham, I got to 70 kilos.
Wow.
70 kilos.
Yeah, that's big.
70 kilos. Right now, I'm 5'1", and I felt so heavy and pressure, like I couldn't even expand my lungs. I had distorted the amount of size my body needed because I'd outgrown my frame, Stephen. Right? So, and there was this complete distortion. I didn't like it, didn't like the way that I felt. I didn't like the look of my skin. I knew my liver was, you know, not doing well because my eyes were going yellow and I had that yellow jaundicey kind of a look. And my hair was all strawy. I was getting, you know, the receding hairlines and everything like that. My hair was falling out, not just from, you know, being on compounds, but from the stress my body was under and the aging process. And we've seen it. We've seen girls. I have seen, like, I put a before and after up of a young boy, and it looked like father and son. It's on my profile, and it was 4 years apart. Blew my mind. I'm like, this is not the same person. This is father and son, and it wasn't. So to answer your question, how do I feel within myself? Emotionally, I feel stable. I feel calm. I feel happy.
Do you feel?
You know?
Do you feel like? Do you feel that your strength, whether you push it as far as you can, it's actually real? That you have the ability to be strong on your own accord. Meaning, if you are at the gym now and you're doing slight PBs, or you're feeling like the last 4 weeks your diet's been perfect and your sleep's been perfect and you feel stronger, don't you feel good that you are stronger? It's you.
I am stronger. It's not the rented Airbnb house.
You are
Correct.
stronger.
So I actually am per weight stronger.
Yeah.
Right. I can still squat 100 kilos. I can still deadlift 120 kilos.
Yeah.
I can still do 20 chin-ups.
Yeah.
Unassisted. At my weight.
I think you're lifting more than me. I don't want to talk about it, but go ahead. Yeah.
And that's my thing. If we're talking about gym, it's like bench, squat, deadlift, chin ups. They're my four, and maybe a standing overhead press. They're the foundations, right? Yeah. For me personally, and I do recommend everyone, use those exercises and do progressive overload on them, because that's what builds the functional movements, what builds real tissue. Now, even if you're a genetic freak and you're a woman, you're only going to put on maximum 3 kilos a year, and that's a genetic freak, right? Now, those 3 kilo, that 3 kilo of muscle, you can expand that 3 kilo of muscle to 6 or 7 kilos, because every 1 gram of mitochondrial fiber will hold 4 times its amount in glycogen and water, right? So when someone goes, "Oh, I'm 6 kilos heavier and I'm leaner and all the rest of it," I'm like, well, you probably got 3 kilos of muscle and 3 kilos of water and glycogen in there, because muscle's 70% water.
I was, sorry to interrupt. One weekend I made myself, I wanted loaded fries. I said, "Steve, I think, how about, it's too expensive and you want a lot. So why don't you make your own loaded fries?" So I said, "How do I do loaded fries without blowing myself up? I don't want to eat a lot." So I go, "You know what? I'm going to bake the fries. I'm going to bake them. So I'm going to bake them, not fry them." So I said, I was looking at a way to gluttony. I wanted to be fucking gluttony. You know what I mean? So I went, "All right, we'll bake them."
Yeah.
So we'll bake them. So we baked them. And then I go, "What am I going to put on top of them?" I said, "All right, we're going to put baked chicken on top. You're going to cut it down and you're going to bake the chicken." And I said, "Oh, I don't want bacon. What am I going to do?" I said, "You know what? You're going to bake some sausages, some good sausages, good ones." So I cut them up. So I did the mince thing, right? And then I went and I got a great barbecue sauce, really good barbecue sauce, real all natural. I read the ingredients. I'm an ingredients man, right? I'm not, you can tell me it's 90 calories and tell me all these numbers with it. I like to read I like less ingredients. Yeah. Like I'll give you an example. I like Heineken beer. Not that I drink really, but go look at it. It's 3 ingredients. It's 3 ingredients, Heineken. It's got 3 ingredients. So that's all it's got. So I'm happy. I'll have 3 ingredients. But so then I said, "What cheese should I use?" And I go, fuck it. I go, "You know what? We've got to go Parmesan, because Parmesan's got protein in it too, Parmesan." So we went Parmesan cheese, right? So then barbecue sauce, and then sausage, and then chicken. And then I go, come on, we've got to go one more. And I went, "All right. Yeah. Avocado. Get some avocado. How good does it sound?"
It's so good.
Fucking oath.
I think I might make that this weekend. That sounds bloody amazing.
Yeah, and then I just sat and I watched television. I just sat on the fucking couch watching telly with my fork and my loaded fries. No outside cold fucking service station for $18. I mean, it probably cost me more my one, but I'm talking about. And then I was going to go the next day. So it was a Friday night.
Yeah.
And the next day I go to visit a mate and he goes, I'm going to make some food for us. I go, "Okay." And he makes a mean pasta. He's Italian. So he does a beautiful penne with an arrabbiata thing, sauce and whatever he does, right? So I'm eating it and his wife goes, "Hey, you want a second serving?" I said, "This is fucking too good." Yes. Because yes. I said, "Give me a second serving." So I had the second serving. And I think the next day my daughter said to me, "Do you want to go have a kebab?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I know a good kebab place." All right, we went and had a kebab. So I went to the gym and I go, I've got to weigh myself. Not that I felt a bit, nothing that, Completely changed too much. I was 81 and a half kilos and I weighed in at 86. And anyone would have panicked. And I went, you know what? I want to see what I'm going to look like 3 days after. So I just didn't weigh myself and I just trained, got back to my own boring diet. And then 3 days later, I was 81 and a half. 84.
Of course.
Yeah. So I kind of, and I really took that study like, I kind of got excited. I went, this is cool to know. Because if you don't know, it's stressful. So it's cool to know. So I'm kind of saying like, everyone lower your weapons. Put the gun down. Drop the weapons. Step away from the gun.
So what I hear you saying, and this is, you brought this up a few times now, is the significance of pleasure. In this, like in bodybuilding, we wear this badge of honor of pain and discipline and structure.
But also, sorry, yes. That is, I want you to keep going. I just want to say this. No, I've done the good works. The rewards, I'm not going to spoil them. Don't come at me. I've done the work. And guess what? I'm going to continue the work. But don't spoil the party. I'm having a good time because I deserve it. I deserve all this. And guess what? If I dieted hard for my whole age of 56, but 57, I want to have a bit of fun. Yeah. I'm still going to be bodybuilding with a bit of fun.
That's it.
Go on.
Give me a second.
Yeah,
Give me a second. 2 seconds. Come here, darling. Come here. It's bedtime. He wants to come and say good night to Mummy. Come here, darling.
How are you, mate? How are you? You good? You good? Mum tells me that you train in the gym with her.
Yeah.
Is that right? Sometimes. And eventually you want to get to the gym, do you?
Yeah.
How old are you?
How old are you?
10.
10? When's your birthday?
October the 21st.
And do you turn 11 then? Wow, 11.
Well, where are we going? We're going to Italy.
Well,
for his birthday.
Anyone will use your excuse as a birthday to travel to Italy, mate, like I said. But do you know what's good about Italy? I'll tell you what's tops about Italy. It's the only place where you can have pasta and bread and you don't bloat. So you go for your life.
Because there's no folate and genetic modification in the food. That's why.
So you can go and eat so much pizza. Yeah, I know, man.
Your favorite food?
Oh, my favorite food too. I love pizza too. I love my favorite food. And you can have also pasta, garlic bread, you name it, you've got it. You can do anything you want. So I know how lucky are you. You are very lucky.
I know.
You're very lucky.
So, yeah.
So you're
going to go to bed now?
You're going to bed now. Yes, I think it's time. When I look at the time, I think it's time for bed.
Is it time for bed, or do you want to? I'll let you stay up until 9 o'clock because it's the last week of school. Okay?
All right, we're gonna be off soon, so you will get off soon to live with.
That's all right. He always irrespective of what we're doing, like when he's time for bed, he's so good. He's such a good boy. He will like come in and give me a kiss goodnight. It's always the case, and then I tuck him into bed. But it's the last week of school, as you know, having kids yourself.
Yes.
And I'm a little bit more lax. I'm like, Mummy's got a podcast tonight, and if we get along the way that I think we're going to get along, it's probably going to go for a few hours.
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. But so yes, so you were saying the reason
about pleasure.
Pleasure, yes.
Pleasure, right? So pleasure is a state of being, right? We are human beings, not human doings. We're human beings first. Yeah, right. So, the space of pleasure exists to be what you need to be. It's a part. It's not something that you just throw in or out. It's like, sadness is a state of being. It's necessary.
Everything's
Pain
necessary.
is a state of being.
It's
And,
necessary.
and anger is a state of being. All of these things make us a human fucking being. So we are quite complex like that. So what's happened when I talked about it earlier about being disassociated, we're being like disconnected emotionally, right? Where we don't even know how to have pleasure anymore. We don't even know what to do. Happiness, what's that? It's going to the gym and doing some squats. But what about outside? Right. So you talked about wanting, this big bowl of just gluttony, right? But you wanted to do it, right? So you're sitting down. I could see it was like, you were lighting up and like your whole physiology was changing.
I love it.
And so, you're reliving a moment. Your body doesn't know whether you're having that, it signifies it as you having that moment again. So the more pleasure you have, the more happy moments you have, your body can regurgitate them when it needs more pleasure, when it brings back that memory. Oh, you remember back, in 1993 when we went to go see the Michael Jackson concert history, oh yes, I do. And then you feel it again inside of yourself, right? So when you are deep in the bodybuilding world, and I know we're using bodybuilding because this is muscle talk, you don't get that. It's almost like indoctrinated out of you. Pleasure. You don't need pleasure. You need pain. You need hurt. You need discomfort, a lot of it, constantly, chronically, right? And so then our body, which is a being of pleasure as well, is now being suppressed. It's like imagine having a child and you don't give that child love. You do all the right things. You cross the T's, you dot the I's, make sure they've got a roof over their head, clothes on their body, food on the table, but you don't give them love. You're not, right? Cool. So essentially we're doing that to ourselves in that space, and there's that complete distortion that I was talking about earlier. Right. So, you can go hard, like you said, do it, but you deserved it. You deserved those loaded fries. You deserved those you earned those extra 5 kilos at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, fuck it. I had the best weekend, but I can't continue it. But it didn't mean I can't continue it. It meant we can relive it again. But hey, that was a great. Let's
right. It was
grateful.
An experience.
Yeah, I was grateful.
Right, it was an experience. You were happy. It created pleasure. It changed your physiology. It allowed you to metabolize that food so much faster. So 3 days later, you had dropped back down to 81 kilos.
But I was also grateful for my mate making that food, that I had company to sit with, because most of the time I eat by myself. I got to sit with my daughter. And I got to eat a kebab and talk with her while we're having a kebab. What I mean is, I'm not going to miss out on moments over bodybuilding, but bodybuilding's part of my week. So I've already done enough work to have moments, because I can't have kebab every day with my daughter because it doesn't happen. It won't happen because she's doing her thing, I do my thing. But when the moments arise, you take them, and because you worked hard for the week, you sacrificed for the week, and this got nothing to do with bodybuilding, but then you trained through the week and you ate well through the week and you did everything through the week. So you don't have to you know what I mean? So it just amazes me that everything is like, yeah, I don't know. Like I was just thinking, like I said, I was just thinking to myself, like because I've been, there's moments like when I bodybuild, there was 2 cycles, not drugs. We're talking about there was your shred cycle in the year, and there was your bulking, and winter was your bulk. So we bulked. So we went from, and most of it, like I said, and then so we started the bulk in March, and we bulked till before the start of spring, and the spring starts, and then from spring we go into ripping up, ready for summer. It was just a cycle like that all the time. That's all it was. So bulk season was, I don't know, Bosciola, steak Diane, I don't know, whole chicken, I don't know, potato, whatever. Didn't really matter. We just ate, right? But we ate. But again, remember the words I've used, things I've said. We didn't bulk on McDonald's. We bulked up. We just ate more food, good food. We just ate better food. You know what I mean? It was bigger portions. That's all it was, a bit of sauce. That's about it, really. But I just lost my train of thought for a second now because I was trying to explain that. But what I was trying to say is that, in my 40s, my first entry to 40s and my first entry to 50s, for some reason, it was medication. I'm just telling you now, it was medication. Because I fell trapped to anti-anxiety tablets and I fell trapped to antidepressants. And it took 3 goes to realize I'm allergic to it. It's not supposed to be in my system. I don't function well. It's an allergic reaction to me. So I don't, right? So so we'll go with my 50s. I'm at 80 kilos. I got to probably 107 kilos. So Chris knows when we started the podcast, I was probably 104 kilos. I said, I'm going to lose this in 2 to 3 years. So I knew my journey to lose and get back to 80 kilos was a 2 to 3 year plan. Why? You're going to ask why. Why 2 to 3 years plan? Because 2, everyone I've watched lose weight quickly looks old. And everyone that loses weight quickly looks withdrawn. And everyone that loses weight too quickly compromises muscle. So I said, and I've got nowhere to go. So we'll just take our time. And in that time, I've got a podcast, and what have I fucking learned? Wow. It's been exciting. So what I'm trying to say to you is all I had to do was learn how I could work with what I had, which was the gym and my career. And everything else had to fit in with that. And that's where I learned that to get to under 100 to get to the 90s was a bit of a challenge. To get onto the 80s was a bit of a challenge. But some things had to change, but that's because I became educated. But I became educated around food. More and more healthy food, not a calorie-controlled diet, a calorie-controlled healthy food, meaning I eat 6 meals a day. 6 meals a day. 6. I've got a meal sitting here straight after the podcast when we finish.
In your Tupperware container?
It is in a Tupperware container because Chris left the cutlery and the beautiful crystal stuff at home, and we don't have it at the office. But what I mean is, what I'm trying to say to you is, for me to get to 80 was, I'll tell you what it was. I'll tell you straight out. My protein didn't change, meaning measuring. And through what happens when we're bodybuilding, I took rice out. I bring pumpkin in. I bring green beans in. And I also bring sourdough. And I went down to 80 kilos. 5 meals a day though. Nothing changed. I just introduced something in my 5 meals. I didn't take. And I realized that, and I was telling Chris today, I want to add this here. There was 3 years, I'm just going to say it here, I've said it before. There was 3 years that I literally wanted to kill myself. I held on for 3 years through the medication. And I admitted myself into hospital twice by myself. I admitted myself in and none of it worked, by the way. And I said to Chris, it's amazing that I am not smashed up with that stress for 3 years, that I'm not bashed in age and body. I ate healthy through the whole time.
Yeah.
I ate home-cooked meals.
It is the fountain of youth.
I ate home-cooked meals. I cooked. I baked my chicken. I baked my veggies. Yeah. I'm a tuna and rice kid from my 20s. I just got better with my food.
Yeah.
And I compounded. I love food. I love food. I love food, healthy food more. Even one time I was stressed. My sister laughed and my ex-wife laughed. I was stressed. And they said, what are you doing? I said, I'm having a can of tuna. I'm stressed. Like everyone goes for chocolate. I went for tuna. Why? I needed something good because I was stressed. That was in my 30s. What I'm trying to say to you is healthy's always been good for me. It keeps me strong, and I know it's what I need to get through this world. It's not, I don't need escapes. So what I'm trying to say to you is I was revving at 10,000 revs for 3 years, not sleeping. And all I did, and I used to go to the gym to try, but the one thing I didn't give up on was my food. I just never gave up on food. I never gave up on it. Never gave up on it. I never opted. I just stuck because I don't know. I just, and I think
food can be medicine.
Yeah.
Food is medicine. Food is what brings you alive, you know, and when you are, and everything that you need that allows you to get through that stress, that allows you to get through those anomalies and anything that's going on is in the food that we eat and is in the movement that we move, right? So it's the fountain of youth, stimulating your muscles, you know, in the gym and weight training. Again, it keeps you young. I think you said you're 57.
I'm 57, correct.
You don't look a day over fucking 45.
Without saying that, not like, but I see it. I was training with the Aussie Mammoth, Ahmed Harachi. We've done a doco with him. It's going to be out soon, right? I was training with him at a gym. No joke. There was guys there, and all of them say, because everyone goes, how old? Not how old am I? They all go, everyone goes, you know, I'm older than you, mate, to me. I'm older than you, mate. And I go, how old are you? And he goes, I'm 52. And I go, Ahmed, how old are you? I think, how old's Ahmed? 49? No, I'm not sure. Anyway, I said, guys, I'm 57. I said, I don't understand. Like, but it's true. They do look older than me. Now, I have a youthful mind. No, not a youthful mind. I have a youthful persona, you know, like I said, mullet, earrings, tattoos. I'm a little bit like a Johnny Depp. That's what someone said to me. You're a little bit like a Johnny Depp, like in a sense. But what I'm getting at is I put it down to food and I do put it down to the gym.
Yeah.
But I do put it down that those two things aren't compromised. But
my God, you just took the words right out of my mouth. That's what I was trying. That's what I was trying to say. Health is not a value. It's not a goal. It's not something you obtain. It's a non-fucking negotiable. Yeah, it's not because when your health is gone, everything is gone. It doesn't matter how rich you are, what you have in your back pocket, you know, how much muscle you have, how popular you are. If you don't have your health, and we're not just talking food and training, but we're talking the health of life, like which is something that you've brought up a few times as well, right? Life health, right? Relationships, work environments, you know, balance with being in that state of pleasure and happiness and having those experiences. Like, you know, a lot of people in the bodybuilding world would be bankrupt in those spaces, you know, like
100%.
They might be 100% with their food and they're 100% with their training, almost to the point where it's actually not working for them anymore, right? Not talking to everyone. I'm just saying that there is you see it, right? There's that distortion, and it comes at the expense of relationships. Relationships break up.
I know.
Right?
I know.
It comes at the expense of their relationship with their children, right? You know, their careers. just their life in general, building, buying a house. God, for me to go over to bloody the US and compete over there, that 12 months, and I had to take Kai with me, obviously, was $50,000.
Yeah.
Or, right? 50,000 Australian dollars, which is like 28,000 US.
US, yeah.
It's like, well, but anyway. So imagine 20 years of that, which is what I did, 20 years of that.
Yeah.
Holy Mary, Mother and Joseph.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I had gaps and stops in between that, and there was other traumas that we haven't spoken about with Kai and surgeries and all that. But I think it's important that, if anyone in the bodybuilding, whether they're just getting into it now, or, whether they're deep in it, or whether they're in contemplation mode and they're kind of on the edge of it, it's like understanding that bodybuilding is one part of who you are.
Yeah, one part, yeah.
It's one part of who you are. It's not you as an entire person. And if you want longevity and legacy in bodybuilding, then bodybuild your life. Don't just bodybuild your body, right? Bodybuild your life, bodybuild your relationships, right? Bodybuild your mentality and your attitude. Bodybuild, your career, right? Bodybuild your experiences. All of that will give you longevity in the sport. Absolutely. 100%. So if that was my advice to, people that are in that sport, you're going to do what you're going to do. Okay. Everything in moderation, even moderation. Okay. But look after all areas of your bodybuilding, and don't delete them, because you can't outsmart the hierarchy of your body. Eventually, it will catch up with you.
I think, I mean, I don't know, like if anyone's like listening, I mean, they do listen to the podcast, but if anyone's listening to this, like, I think, like, it's two things. It's really maybe three. I'll say the three things of bodybuilding that got me back to this weight was training, diet, and I'll tell you now, no treadmill. I went for walks. I went out down the beach and I walked the whole coastline, and my eyes are stimulated. I'm listening to some music, and that was how bodybuilding was back in the day, because there wasn't enough treadmills. They had 3 treadmills and we're all allowed 20 minutes on the treadmill, right? So what I'm getting at is bodybuilding is not steroids. I'm telling you now, bodybuilding is not steroids. Bodybuilding is walking and food. You do those things with bodybuilding. That's bodybuilding. Everything else, I don't know. You're introducing whatever you want to introduce. There is natural competitions that you can go on and go in to do it with the 3 tools: food, walking, training. And that can make you compete. Now, if there are federations that still, IFBB lets you train, lets you compete in a non-tested environment, you're still allowed to go natural. It's your call. You can still go up there natural. You can, but that's your call. But,
well, there's actually natural federations now.
Yeah, but
not federations. Sorry, there's a natural part to the IFBB Pro League now. But I understand where you're coming from as well. Because when I competed with NABA, I was natty. I didn't even know what a roid was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't even know what creatine was. Right?
Yeah, so,
I had no different. People thought I was geared, but I wasn't.
That's a compliment, apparently. Now, if they tell you, if they think you're geared, it's a compliment. Emad Wardu won his pro card. I was there. It was 2023. Yeah, Emad, 2023 in Brisbane. I was at the show. I went to the show in Brisbane. Yeah. Tony Doherty was talking to someone that I was with, and he goes, "You got to see this kid. He's a freak, and he's natural." And I saw him and I go, fuck off. He's not natural, fuck off. Like that. Even I had Emad on my podcast.
Yeah.
And I spoke to his coach. Emad didn't even take supplements. Emad's a brickie. He's a bricklayer. That's where he makes his money, bricklaying, to get his mum a house and to pay it off, right? Mm-hmm. He's on the gear now. He says it. He's not going to call himself natty, right? But he got his pro card, natural. Okay, he's a genetic freak, but that's a genetic freak's going to win Olympia.
But that's the sport of bodybuilding, right? We have too many people that aren't the genetic predisposition, trying to put round pegs in square holes, distort divisions in categories, and they try and use muscle to change their shape, but they distort it because they outgrow their frame.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, Emad won because of his small waistline, his small ankles, his small wrists, his defined bits that genetics allows the muscle to look rounder. So you either got it or you don't. And unfortunately, we've not had one person get to the level of Lee Priest, and we don't know if we ever will. So what I'm saying is and he is a genetic freak.
He is, but he started training with his grandfather, I think it was.
Yeah,
I watched his doco that he put up.
Yeah.
Like, that was amazing. So he's been doing it since he was a teenager.
But he was also natural. He also won a national title, all of them. He didn't have his pro card yet. Well, they didn't give it out. He went to America to compete.
We never had pro cards. There was no pro cards.
No. And he went to America. He went to America and he was there at Gold's Gym, and Ed Connors saw him and said, are you a pro? And he goes, no. Nah. He goes, so got Wider to come, and then Wider called Australia's federation and go, give this guy pro card now. In America, Lee Priest got his pro card. He had already, you know what I'm trying to say? So the thing is, and it wasn't at a show. It was, he's got a pro card now. Just give us a pro. He's got a pro card, right? So just goes to show he didn't have to be on stage anymore to get his pro card. And then he went into so what I mean is, your aspirations are like unrealistic, unfortunately. So how about not compounding yourself to the point of that unrealistic place you're not going to reach, but exhaust your true potential to win competitions, hopefully not just 2 people on stage and you call yourself a winner. Hopefully there's 6 at least minimum. But what I'm trying to say to you is, if anyone's listening, any 20-year-old, if you've got the muscle and you've got the discipline and you do the 3 things we spoke about and you do it correctly and you give yourself time to enter the show, which is you got to give yourself years, 3 years, 4 years. See it, what you're capable of, and that is bodybuilding. And stick to your career, stick to your playing soccer with your mates, stick to enjoying what you enjoy, but enjoy the discipline of what the gym and the diet and the walking gives you. And then at times, go back on stage and have a story to tell. But like I said, be realistic, because like you said, once you get a pro card and you have to go overseas, but you're telling me, which I'm surprised and a bit sad, but life's not fair, that people that are natural are taking shit, and that's not good.
Oh, look, it is what it is at the end of the day, but don't lose yourself in the process
Yeah.
of competitive on stage bodybuilding,
Yeah.
right?
Go and compete, but compete
Yeah.
at your best, like exceed your abilities, because no matter, I don't think what I've realized, I don't think any amount of PEDs is going to take you to where you think you're going to go. I think the reality is if you want success in bodybuilding, then best to be a good businessman in bodybuilding. Go and open up a gym. Go and have a supplement company. Go and redesign something in this world that the bodybuilding community needs. That's good. Like you're studying to make yourself a better coach or a better contributor to the sport, and a standout in an area that you feel is. But then that might be that you go into bodybuilding into other sports that are you helping other sports. So what I'm saying to you is, how good is bodybuilding? That's how good bodybuilding is.
Well, bodybuilding is in everything. It's in every sport.
Yeah.
You need it. It's the strength training. You need that.
Yeah.
But something Tom Platt said was, less science, more art, because we've had him on our podcast as well. And
Tom Platt.
it's so true. Yeah.
How did you have Tom Platts on?
You have to have a look at the rest of our podcast. We've had Palumbo on as well, and we've had Zane on, Frankie Zane.
What?
Yeah.
I did not know I'm truly with royalty here. A competing podcast.
We've had Andrea Shaw, Sid Gillen. Who else have we had? We've had Natalia Qualo. We've had them all. Yeah, we've had all the Olympians on our podcast over the last 2 years. And like I said, we spoke about this off air as well. We stopped it for a little bit because we came a little bit disillusioned with what was being presented on the stage. And it's not why Rose and I got into the sport. We got into the sport because your Aaron Stern bodies, like we're old school, where there's lines and there's shape and there's finesse and there's not just muscle on everywhere and thick waistlines and things. So we found it a little bit hard to then, because this new breed, and we might be starting another loop, but this new breed of athletes in the women's divisions that are coming through is not something that I sit there and go, oh, wow, I aspire to that. What I do say is wow to the dedication, wow to the discipline, wow to the mythology that they go through and the dedication. But I don't go wow to the bodies. It had been a long time since that happened. And then recently there was this lady in Italy called Laura. She recently got her pro card. And I did a post on her, and I've been watching her for the last month, and I'm just looking at her and going, like that is figure. Like she's got the perfect blend of old school and new school, and she stayed in her lane. And she was in the Europa, I think it was, on the weekend and got 6. And the one that won was a mini bodybuilder. Right, so she crossed over and did other classes as well, and I'm like, and that was in Spain, but Laura like had it all, the perfect balance of everything. So I would have had her at first personally, because figure is about a structure first. There's a specific structure. It's like the classic physique, the old school classic physique, but for women, right? That wanted that little bit of extra muscle, 30% leaner than the bikini girls and things like that. But it's not just the figure; it's all the classes. So,
well, I think I was just seeing. I mean, I don't know, like just Troy Thornton, Troy Thornton, just for a minute. But he was just posting about that girl in China. She looked amazing. I was looking at, and she's natty, and she doesn't have social media. And when you look at her, you do see beauty there somehow, like it is. And
you can see the work. You can see the Picasso that she's built.
Yeah. So I was like, but everything he was saying, he was like saying it in a way like, and she's natural and she doesn't have social media, not because, and I reached out to him. I said, wow, man, like, well done. I go, let's get her on the podcast. I just said, the two of you, I want to know how this worked. And he goes, oh, she's a bit shy. I don't know if she will. I didn't force him. I'm not forcing him on that. But what I'm trying to say to you is like you said, what a beautiful picture. What a beautiful Picasso. What?
It's it, and you're painting a Picasso. You're painting, one stroke at a time.
Like it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And obviously when you cross all the T's and dot all the I's and you get the basics right and you've got the right support and the right team around you, it's going to happen. It's inevitable, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what's happened is that there is a group of people within the field of bodybuilding that are pushing things to such an extreme that these people that are doing it the right way suddenly feel more pressured and then cross over prematurely or abuse or what have you, and that's where the problems actually start. I've seen lots of incredible bodybuilders, both women and men, and then a few years down the track I'm like, what happened? It's an art form. Take your time with it. Enjoy the journey along the way, the people that you meet as well. There's some incredible humans that are in the bodybuilding world as well. My best friend, we found each other. She's in Dubbo though. That's the only problem.
She's what?
So she's in Dubbo. We'd never get anything done. She lives in Dubbo. I'm in the Sunshine Coast. So I'm like, oh God, if we lived in the same town, we'd never bloody get anything done. So, and she's natural. She's 100% natural, lifetime natural, always has been, and competed in pro lineups and placed as a natty.
Well, do you know that, Monica Brandt? You know Monica Brandt?
I do. We've interviewed her. I've got her on my WhatsApp number. We chat a fair bit. She's very strong in terms of faith.
I spoke to her today. I've had her on the podcast too. God, we're dropping names now, like who's the best. But oh my God, I think you guys have. You know
what? She's the woman that got me into her and like Wendy Fortino.
Yeah, Wendy Fortino. And I've had her on. Have you had her on? Have you had her on?
Yes.
Oh my God, Chris! We better up the ante, man. We've got some competition here, man. I don't know what happened.
I'll have to send you my list. I'll send you my list. So, and honestly, we never knew, they never knew us personally beforehand. It was like, I said to Rose, we just got to keep pressing buttons until something works. We just like get into their Instagram, have a chat, want to highlight women in our sport, and it kind of just evolved from there. But yeah, we've had Monica on, we've had Wendy Fortina on.
She won, Monica Brandt won Olympia natural.
Yeah, well, she is what got me started. In bodybuilding. It was Monica Brandt, and then your Wendy Fortinos and your Bolyanas. And one thing I will say is, out of every figure girl in bodybuilding right now that is in the Olympia, the one that I constantly look at that is an absolute fucking veteran is Wendy. She has stayed so true to herself. She's still very feminine, still speaks feminine. I think she's got an incredible physique. And I'm like, I look at her and go, that's figure. And there isn't that distortion of more density and more thickness and more roundness and where we're starting to look like mini bodybuilders, right? So I'm like, bring that back. I don't think it's ever going to come back, to be honest. Wishful thinking. Maybe they might add a classic figure. I don't know, another category in somewhere down the track. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think. Yeah, I don't. Like it's. Look, I think. Like I said, who was it? Jimmy Mentis. I had a Jimmy Mentis on. So you didn't have Jimmy. Have you had Jimmy Mentis on?
No, we haven't had
Chris.
Jimmy Mentis on.
I mentioned my name, Jimmy Mentis. So I had Jimmy Mentis on, and he's Greek. And the funniest thing was, he's the first Greek that I've spoken to in America that is first generation. So even he said to me, can you speak Greek? I go, I can. Can you? He goes, yes. But he goes, in America, everyone's like fifth generation, fourth generation that can't speak Greek. And we have the same, but Jimmy asked me, no one's ever asked me, he was the only one. He goes, what made you get into bodybuilding? What made you love bodybuilding? Me. And I said, besides getting weights and training in the garage, not knowing what I'm doing with barbell and dumbbells, I said, my poster was a guy riding a Harley with big arms, you know.
That was the signature shot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's
I know he's on a soft tail, and he's on a Harley.
Yeah.
And on the back, he's got some brunette or whatever it is, or blonde, and she's got her arms around it, and they're going, no, obviously no helmet, maybe a bandana he's got on, whatever it is. But the picture is they're on a country highway, whatever it is. And I just saw that, to me, was kind of bodybuilding, where it was that like it was more a poster of just, I mean, I do have a Harley, I'm just saying, like, but what I mean is it kind of went hand in hand of experiencing life, like enjoying things.
It was everything in one photo for you.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
like Dorian Yates, I remember, and watching him, and I went to bodybuilding shows, and everyone that was on stage predominantly deserved to be there. And everyone off stage could compete, but didn't want to. But they looked like they could because they were happy in their lane. So everyone that was happy to bodybuild with these guys, but there were guys that were happy for the stage, and there was guys that were just as built as them, but didn't want the stage.
Yeah.
So we knew not everyone wanted the stage, but everyone wanted to bodybuild. That's what I mean. No, not everyone wanted the stage. Everyone wanted to bodybuild. It was just that. It was that culture. And I'm not saying the culture's not here now, but like I said, I just think, like I see the kids at my gym, and honestly, they're amazing, these kids, like where I train. They're not jacked. Trust me, I know they're not jacked. But they're really happy with themselves. Like I see them with their shirts off, and I see them training. Our gym is very different. It's called Hardcore Gym, right? And it's a male-only gym, by the way. Only males, no females, right? It's an old school gym. It's run by Muslims, and I can understand why they do it. And to be honest, I've been there for over 5 years, and I love it. Why? Because I just get to train. I go there, do my job, and I leave. And there's a bit of a brohood going on in there. So I like it. Like I understand there's Fernwood for women and there's hardcore for men, and I like it. But like I said, I see these boys and they're training, and no joke, their tops are off and they're all training. It's just got that gym culture. It doesn't have signs. All it says is put your weights away. It's just, I train in socks. When I train in my sock, like it's just a gym. It's just a gym. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, like I said, for me, and I want everyone to know, bodybuilding is training, going to the gym. Everything else is part of bodybuilding. Everything is just part of it. You know what I mean? I don't know. What do you think?
See, I look at it there's more of a macro for me, and I expressed it earlier. Like if we're looking at bodybuilding is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And within your lifestyle, you train a certain way, you eat a certain way, you think a certain way.
Yeah.
But you also have balance.
Yeah.
In other areas of your life. And a lot of people go, oh, you can't reach this level if, you are not balanced. And I'm like, no, but the foundation of balance is required in all areas to have cycles of extremism.
Yeah.
Right. So, and every action has an equal opposite reaction. And so what goes up must come down eventually. But that's the cycle of being human as well. Okay. So for me, bodybuilding is it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's nutritional, it's physical. Okay. It's molecular. Right. So, and it's our experience at that big level. But
I'm saying is, regardless what got you to go to the gym but right now, you've been like, how many decades you've been training?
Since 1998, 97.
97. So you've 2 decades.
Yeah, over 2 decades.
Yeah, 2
now.
decades. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, 29 years.
Yeah, but 2 decades. Do you think you're going to train for the next decade?
Absolutely.
But can I just ask? Can I ask why? And I already know the answer. It's not about the stage anymore. It's a place that is bodybuilding that encompasses.
For me, it's a state of being, right?
Yeah.
The longevity is put in there as well, and I've spent my whole life, chasing, striving for health. And when I first got into bodybuilding, that's what it was for me. It was, I want to be a healthier version of myself. I don't want to end up like my mum or my nonna or, other parts. I want to have longevity. And I think it's evolved now for me, in my mid 40s. It's like, I'm cool. I'm happy with the way that I look, but I want to be here to see my grandkids one day. I want to be able to travel the world. Right. I want to have a long life. Right. I want to hit those triple digits. Right. And have as many experiences as I can.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and when I do it, I want to have all my faculties. Right. And I don't want to be on a walking stick or a walking frame. Right. So, when my time to go, right, to the next life, it just happens. It's like, time out. It's not like we are chronically dying every day from the age of 40 because of poor lifestyle and poor physical health, and poor mental health, and constantly sitting in this anxiety lane, right? Where we're working those 100-hour weeks and we're wearing it with a badge of honor, and there isn't the yin and the yang. I see that. I've seen people that are fit as fuck and natural, but they work like dogs. There's no off button. Come 50, they have a sudden heart attack. Gone. Just like that. So when we're looking at what does bodybuilding mean for me, it's the whole fucking ecosystem. Because for me, it represents health, mental, emotional, spiritual, nutritional, physical, molecular, right? Your experiences with life, the whole kit and caboodle. And yes, I will say that sometimes the goals changed within that. When I was in my early 30s, I wasn't thinking about, what life will be like when I'm, 70 years old, but now I am. Right? There's this sense of mortality, and I'm like, hang on a minute, I've got a kid with compromised health. I'm his only caregiver. He's only got me. I need to make sure that I'm here for him.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, it becomes it's a non-negotiable.
It is. So what would you, if you stood in front of a crowd of girls, what I want to say, what piece of advice would you give them? And I don't want too many. I want to say 2 or 3, like you decide, but I want it equal. I want you to tell them what they need to know about life in the gym, and what they should have with life outside the gym?
Well, okay. At the core of everything is who you are. So know your core values. Know who you are, what you stand for, and use them as the decision-making process around life inside and outside the gym. Non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Like a personal contract.
Yep.
Okay. Second, find yourself a coach and take your time researching that coach, right? Understand that you want a coach that isn't just one-dimensional in terms of, or two-dimensional in terms of counting macros and counting reps in the gym. You want someone that can mentor you, that can educate you, that can grow you as well, right? Someone that understands how to get inside and work with our limiting beliefs, negative emotions we might have, or be able to highlight them so that, and point you in the right direction of where to get that as well. So that's two. The third thing, be present. When you're in the gym, be present in the gym, okay? Not looking at your fucking Insta photos, not taking selfies.
Yeah.
You know, you get where I'm coming from. So be present, mind, body connection, right? Because when you're lifting and moving that weight, but you're thinking about the 50 things that you have to do before or after, or what angle you're going to take your photo on, or, you know, who's that cute guy that's over there, right? Program your time at the gym so that you've got, you know, time to check out all the hot boys if you want to.
Yeah.
Have your meal, get on your Insta, take your photos in the posing room. But then when you're in the gym working, you are in the gym working. You are present. You've got that mind-body connection, because when you're lifting that weight, you want every single one of your receptors firing those muscle bellies up. And then that's how you maximize your growth. That is how you maximize your recovery. That is how you maximize your potential. You don't maximize your potential by going through the fucking motions.
I think as well, the gym is a good reason to create some absence. And when you can create absence, it makes your heart grow fonder for people and for things that are happening in the world. Like, you can't wait to switch on your phone to look at your Instagram because you stayed away from it. You can't wait to message your boyfriend, what are you up to? Because you had some time to yourself. Like it's a good absence because you're doing something.
Disconnect to reconnect.
Disconnect to
exactly.
reconnect. So I think I do.
And it's
I don't take, I mean, not to say you might find that I've videotaped a workout, but sometimes I have to think, is that why I'm taking it in to, because if I'm not doing that, I don't take my phone in, because unless it's an urgent call that I'm waiting for from my daughter or somebody, but other than that, it stays in my car. Like I sometimes I don't, sometimes I'm happy to be not hopeful that the phone rings or I have to look at a message or do anything. It's kind of like I need that escape. So that's, were those ones for the girls inside, or that also works outside the gym?
That also works outside.
All right. So with boys, men, is there anything different out of that list that you would tell guys to?
Honestly, no, there wouldn't be. It would make no difference. It would be knowing your core values, knowing who you are, using that as the decision-making process around everything that you do in your life, right? Same thing in terms of, you know, being in the gym and being present and mind muscle connection, like that all goes hand in hand. So irrespective of where you're male, female, non-binary, trans, however you identify, whatever you are, I think that's foundational stuff, and then you build the scaffolding around that.
I think just listening to it.
But again, I'm not a male.
No,
so you might have some insight that I don't have.
Oh, the only thing I would say, hello, mate. All right, maybe he can listen to this, what I was going to say. I think I think both with maybe males and females, I think when it comes to the gym, I would say this. Don't let the gym take over your life. Don't let it take over your life. Allow the gym to make you better in it. Allow you to be a better co-worker, a better manager, a better entrepreneur, a better dad, a better whatever woman, better whatever. It's a platform that has a natural enhancer itself to make you turn up to an event better, turn up to a business meeting better, and to present yourself to each other better. That's all it does. It's not supposed to stop you. It's supposed to help you have relationships. It's a better relationship with yourself and with others. It's supposed to make you enjoy aging better. It's supposed to help you do everything better. That's what bodybuilding is. It's not to take away from your life. It's to enhance your life that we mentioned about. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. Right.
So what do we?
But that,
he could. So we'll finish up in two. Like we're going to go over the body, but what? So what do we installed with you? What's going on? What are we going to find out besides going to Italy? Where are we going with you?
Yeah. So I am finishing my genomics, master's in genomics, and the long-term picture for me, like I'm still coaching, I still run my clinics online, and I'll continue to do that because I love it, you know, and I love helping people. But one of the biggest things that I want to do is open up a performance testing laboratory for genetics for athletes.
Wow.
Right.
Yep.
So that's the goal, and to have a hub here in the Sunshine Coast over the next 2 years, where it won't just be bodybuilding, clients or people that come to test themselves. It's like Olympians. Like, are you genetically gifted to be a swimmer? If you are, you've got the genes for that. You've got the potential to be, the next Kathy Freeman sprinter, for example. So you kind of get where that is kind of like where I'm gearing myself to. So I have to do my dissertations and do all my experiences, like, in clinical laboratory settings over the next 18 months for that to first of all happen. But then I'd ideally like to be in a position where I can get some government funding around, supporting, this kind of space, especially when it comes to like, AIS and, the Olympics, and enhancing people, because our country's always been known for our sport, hasn't it?
Well, I think it will also help some of the unknowns to know they've got potential by finding out.
Absolutely. And it doesn't just have to be, like we're talking about, professional athletes. It'll be amateur athletes as well. And then from there, I hope to extend it out to, general population and things like that. But, spending my whole life, not my whole life, but a lot of my life, more than half of my life in the space of sport and loving sport. I think that this is the one missing link. And it's not obviously just for, looking at, people's potential, but it's how you can mold that athlete, how you can push that athlete, how you can support and help the athlete, and having like that one-stop hub where then there are the right professionals inside that space to guide those people within the right scope of practice.
I think it's also having protocols in there that'll let you do it with the things with the tools that are available, but using the right tools. That's
exactly right. Exactly.
So in other words, using an axe to chop down a tree instead of a hammer. You know what I mean? Which is going to be there forever. So
exactly. So that's the big picture.
Okay, I love that. Well, look, we're going to go over the body now. You're going to be a personal trainer. I'm just going to tell you a body part, I think we've covered everything. I mean, we really didn't go by the script because we didn't need to.
Yeah.
But that's why I was looking down thinking, have I missed anything? But really, to be honest, I think this podcast is quite unique in itself. So that's what it needs to be. It needs to have its own, like literally.
Its own flavour. Yeah.
Its own flavour, yeah. So I'm going to tell you a body part. I just want an exercise. You can quickly say the sets and reps. You don't have to. You can just say the exercise if you want. It's up to you. So, I'm going to go through the whole body. So, guys and girls, it's the same. It doesn't matter. I don't go. So, traps. And you could say I don't train. Right, that's okay.
I don't train traps.
That's okay.
Not as a figure athlete.
But that's okay. Delts, redelts.
Redelts, bent over flies.
Okay.
Both on a pronated kind of angle and a hammer angle as well. In front of the body and then in line with the shoulder. Yep. Just to hit the different fibers. Yep.
I love that, and I do that myself. Side delts.
So medial delts. I like leaning dumbbell raises because it gives you a greater scope of range. And it also makes it a lot harder, and it hits the bottom tie-in as well a lot more.
Nice. Front delts.
Hammer forward corkscrew raises. So it's where you kind of go up, twist, and then down. So we're working on the inside when we come up, then we return to the lateral, and then we're down. So,
okay,
yeah.
That. Back.
Chin-ups.
Chin-ups, okay.
Chin-ups, overarm, underarm, close, wide.
Chin-ups.
Yep.
Chest.
Incline bench press.
Incline bench press. Abs.
I don't train abs.
Bicep.
21s.
21s.
They're the best ones for it. 21s. Big fan of 21s with dumbbells, with barbells, with dead bars, straight bars. It's a small muscle, but my golly gosh, like to really get the peaks going.
21s.
And I've got a long humerus. Like I've got long arms for a short person.
Yep.
So when you have long muscle bellies and you want to make them look a little bit more stocky instead of Betty Spaghetti arms, partial range movements work better.
All right. I haven't done 21s for a while. I forgot about 21s. I'm going to be doing 21s. Tricep.
Good old dips. Good old unassisted dips. Yep. Bonus to hits the delt at the same time.
No, right. Forearms.
Don't train them.
Quads.
I love front squat.
Front squats.
Front squat. Yeah, with the bar in front.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate it. But yes.
Yeah.
Hamstring.
Lying hamstring curls. My favorite.
Glutes.
Squats.
Okay.
Good old squats.
Squats.
Or every variation of squat you can think of. Best exercise you can do for your ass.
Calves. Don't train them.
Can I say I don't train them?
I don't train them.
But when I did, it was 45-degree leg press.
Okay.
And I would go like inside, neutral, and outside because I only wanted to do one machine, and I'd just do it till failure. But I don't like big calves. I know some people go, they get excited when they see these big calves. Yeah. I'm like, no, I want little ones.
Little ones. So obviously you didn't train the tibialis either.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Okay, so where can they find you? Promote yourself.
Well, you can jump on Instagram and look up Lisa Saygun Go Figure, or you can jump on my website, which is www.gofigurecoaching.au. And I'm also on Facebook under Go Figure Coaching.
And what about your podcast?
Well, the podcast is the Go Figure podcast is the old one. The new one, which is revamping this Thursday. So we have our first new one this Thursday. You can it'll be on Instagram under Go Figure Broadcast. On Spotify, we're on Spotify as well, and also on YouTube under Go Figure Broadcast.
Wow, fantastic. Well, I just want to say thank you very much. It was a great conversation.
I know. We went for it's almost like three hours and 45 minutes.
I know, it's crazy. I know. Maybe I'm a chatterbox, but then people become chatterboxes.
We got Joe Rogan episodes going on.
They say the good ones are the endurance ones. Trust me.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, thank you for having me on. I feel really honoured. It's been great speaking with you too.
Lovely. It's been my pleasure, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see what's to come.
Hey guys, another podcast done with another wonderful guest. They're all greats, no matter who they are. To continue what we're doing and to keep supporting you, if you could subscribe, hit the notification bell, press like, it only helps us to grow this channel even further. We really appreciate the support, and to go and find more all around the world. Bring them here to Muscle Talks podcast and share real, raw and honest conversation around a sport we love, bodybuilding. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching this podcast. Thank you for watching all podcasts. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking.